That's right, I can't do that. That stinks. Can't do that one. Welcome, sir.
There I am.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. Gonna get that there like that. And
We are not live yet. I am in, well, we're increasingly live throughout the Facebook universe. I have to share the program one place at a time.
okay.
Even though Facebook has some of the greatest programmers on the planet, you're not allowed to build a list. You have to do it one by one. So that is what I am doing right now. So there might very well be somebody watching and listening, but there's no rush. We're all good to go.
Okay, good. I'm gonna
Time to get set up, get a drink, whatever you need.
All right. There. Move this in here.
I assume JP will be in eventually. I will have some business at the very beginning. Thank yous, announcements, things like that. This is also our 3rd anniversary program.
All right.
And then it's really all yours from there.
I would, well, I assume you're just going to be asking me some questions or?
Oh, of course. But I mean, it's, it's not about me. It's you guys.
Okay.
You have all the info.
All right.
Scary position to put JP in charge there, but we'll risk it.
Yes. Yes.
We'll risk it.
He prefers it though.
He does indeed. He does indeed. Wow, am I early? Holy cow. I'm usually never this early. My goodness. What is wrong with me? After 3 years, I'm finally figuring out how to do this thing. Every one of those little dings that you might be hearing
There's somebody.
is a group page location where we share this program.
Okay.
We will be 100 Facebook places, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. I actually remembered to do my TikTok promotion.
Nice.
Yeah, not as much of a fan of that one, but you go where the people
They are.
you go where the people are.
That's right.
It's the name of the game. So then right at 5, I'll hit the intro music and we will be off and running.
Okay. So I get the Kennedy reference with the last name. Are you a fan?
I am family.
Your family. Well, I think Bobby is one of my heroes.
I am very quick to, it's distant.
Mhm.
Surprise, surprise, Irish Catholic families are quite large.
Yes.
But yes, it is distantly related. Wish not have tapped that group. That was a wrong tap right there. Whoops. Whoopsie. They won't be happy about that. But yeah, distant. But yes, fan as well, I guess you'd say. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Bobby's one of my heroes, and what I admire about him most is his ability to change, his evolution.
Agreed. Especially for my money, money, operative term. The travel he took through Appalachia.
Right.
Fox. Oh wait, hold on, because I have my headphones on. Go ahead, try that again, please.
I need the Zoom meeting link.
Yes, I need to.
The only way I'm getting on is watching YouTube.
I need to email it, correct?
What?
I need to email it, correct?
You can text it either way.
I can't text it from this computer.
Email it to send it now. I'll be good.
Let me see if I have your email. I think I do. I don't. Text me the email, please. I don't want to say it on the air. And then I will email to you straight away.
I didn't know we were on here.
I am. The early bits. We're not live on the radio for another 4 minutes.
I get you.
So text me the email and I will get it straight to you. Promise.
Yeah, it's already headed your way.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
There's the boss. There we go. There's what we're looking for. How do I not have this email? Very strange. One would think I would have it. Oh, not supposed to get there. Down there. I'm sorry, Tony. Yeah, it was the trip through Appalachia after he had decided he was going to retire from public life, and saw, large sections of our country in abject poverty, no running water,
Right.
no indoor plumbing, no running water, no schools, shacks, all of it, and him saying, you know what, we're better than this.
Yeah.
And really the meeting, I've got meeting in my head now, but really the thrust of his trip was really no more complicated than that, other than to say, we're better than this.
Right.
This is the United States, for goodness sake, we're better than this. And I never, I don't take it as a power play or anything like that. I'm not particularly sure. Scholars, I'm sure people way more scholarly than I will debate whether he really, really deep down wanted to be president or not. I do think he carried the burden of trying to fulfill John Kennedy's legacy. But whether he deep down really wanted to be president or not, I think is probably up for debate, but having seen the complete poverty of Appalachia, the inner lands of Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, West Virginia, the Carolinas, not the coast that we're all used to, but the inland.
Mhm.
Folks had nothing, and saying this isn't, it's not who we are. So that's, yeah. In fact, on my business cards, the back of my business card and the header on my Facebook page have the quote, Teddy's quote from Bobby's funeral.
Mhm.
That, and I always butcher it a little bit, but that my brother need not be blown up in death to something more than he was in life. He was simply a good man who saw wrong and tried to right it, saw war and tried to stop it. And, it's pretty much what we do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I very, very long drawn out answer to your question. But yes, I am related, though quite distantly. I try to, it's the same trunk of the tree.
Mhm.
Their branch is over here, my branch is over here, but it's an Irish Catholic family, so it's a big tree.
Sequoia.
I don't need to say, I don't think we need any more explanation about that.
No.
But also, the thing that we try to talk about here a lot every week is clearly I'm a, liberal, progressive, New Deal, Kennedy Democrat. And it's the things, it's the, we choose to go to the moon and do the other things.
Not because they're
easy, because we can't tax corporations. We can't give people free, we can't have single payer healthcare. We can't have free higher education like we already had in this country at one point. We can't have these things. We can't do, why can't we do any of these things, especially things that we've done before?
Yeah.
We can't have all analog paper ballot voting. We can't have that. Well, what do you think we did? What do you think we used to do? Ireland still does it. Israel went with all computerized voting once, and it was so horrid and so unsafe and secure, they threw all the machines out after one election. Israel, are they smarter than us? I don't see it. So, yeah, we talk about that all the time. But we will be live. Oh, we should be live right now, actually. Give me one moment. 5:01. We will be live in 3, 2, 1.
Kennedy, 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 for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through, but not so doggone seasoned that he won't try something new? A man who's old enough to know
And young enough to do.
well, it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you.
But it's Kennedy, 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 for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
Do you want a man with spirit who is not afraid to fight?
A man whose record shows that he will fight for what is right.
A loyal man who'll bring the job a fresh new point of view.
Well, it's up to you, it's up to you.
It's strictly up to you.
Cause it's Kennedy, 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 for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
And do you deny to any man the right he's guaranteed to be elected president, no matter what his creed?
It's promised in the Bill of Rights to which we must be true.
So it's up to you, it's up to you.
It's strictly up to you.
And it's Kennedy, 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 for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
Do you like a man who answers straight, a man who's always fair? We'll measure him against the others, and when you compare, you cast your vote for Kennedy and a change that's overdue. So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you.
Yes, it's Kennedy, 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 for me.
Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
Well, welcome. 5:03 Eastern Time here in the Bethlehem Landfill Township, formerly known as Lower Saucon Township, prior to its outright purchase by our fascist experiment that we are living through here in the Saucon Valley, part of the Lehigh Valley in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in these United States on this planet Earth, the only one we have. Third rock from the sun in the Terran solar system, part of the Milky Way galaxy. This is the Kennedy Effect live for the 24th of April, 2022. A gorgeous, gorgeous day here in the Saucon Valley. You might hear a tiny, tiny, tiny little buzz in the background. I have a fan on in the studio, and I gotta tell you, I could not be happier. Having a fan on instead of a heater. I am beyond excited. I'm in shorts, and I'm damn happy about it. I don't swear much on the program, but I am bloody thrilled to be in shorts and not in flannels and slippers and high socks and everything else. We don't open the windows in here because the sunlight would really throw off all of the studio lighting, but you can feel the heat coming in through the windows. It is in the, I think we're roughly in the mid 70s here around in the Saucon Valley, and my goodness, does it feel nice. The weather, I think, is supposed to take a turn later this week and get chilly again, but I'll take it for today. Feels really, really good. Walked to my Saucon Democrats meeting this morning and I should say limped. Given the condition of my back and legs, but I drugged myself down there. And we got lucky too that I only got 4 weekend phone calls from work. And the last one was this morning. If you are a member of That Other Side of Information, our home Facebook group page, you will see that I posted something earlier today that I am in search of a headhunter, not a personnel agency, not a temp agency, an actual bloody headhunter. Because if I don't find a new job soon, I'm just going to throw myself off a cliff, I think, at some point. Being on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week seems to me a little bit illegal. I think illegal is a good term for it, but yet that's what we are. That's where we are. We can talk about how great the job market is, but sometimes you're locked in where you need to be because you need to do things like see doctors and things like that. And this is also, of course, our first. Yeah, that's our second actually episode having lost Sis here in the house, and it'll be 3 weeks since we said goodbye to Sis, since we lost her in the middle of the night. It'll be 3 weeks on Tuesday, and it feels like 3 years, feels like 3 decades. House is very, very empty and very quiet. Our other cat is still not the same. I am not the same. Kristen is not the same. We did get her ashes back in a lovely box and the inked footprint that Kristen was kind enough to pay for, and a purchase, thought it was important, and I suppose it is important, but it is a profoundly different place here, and perhaps as we continue on through the program we'll get an opportunity to talk about it. We have a bit of a the first word that popped in my head was going to say mess of a program, but I'm not sure that's how we want to I'm not sure that's how we want to advertise our own program, but we do have a bit of a mixed pot, shall we say. We do have 2 guests and a very important topic to start off the program. But today is also the 3rd, or at least we're celebrating the 3rd anniversary of the Kennedy Effect. This program has been with you now for 3 years. Actually, our spot on anniversary date was last week, but we took last week off, of course, because of Easter, High Holy Holidays. And one of the first, I think it happens every 60 years. I'm really digging in my memory. I read this once and I should have saved it, where Ramadan, Passover, and Easter fall at the same time. I think it's once every 60. I think I have that right. But feel free to correct me in the comments or phone calls later or whatever. So we took off for the High Holy Holidays, and so last week was actually our pinpoint anniversary, but we are celebrating this week. So we do have guests. We do have an important topic, but then later on in the program, we're hoping that any former guest, any friend of the program, anybody just rings in and we get to talk about a little bit about the last 3 years and what we've all been through together, or what we've not been through, or how great it's been, or how bad it's been, or what you like about the program, what you don't like about the program, all that fun stuff. Wherever you might be across Facebook, we have shared the program to 100 different places across Facebook. The very first week of the program, we were not on Hot 101, we were not on TCP, and we were on about a dozen Facebook pages. Today, we are on over 100 Facebook pages, 2 global internet radio stations, and a Roku channel on television. Not too bad in 3. Yeah, of course, the YouTube channel, the Instagram. George would kill me if I didn't mention all the other stuff, because he's the one that keeps it running. So if I don't mention that, oh goodness. Not too bad in 3 years. So wherever you might be on Facebook, stay there. Enjoy. If you're having dinner, getting ready for school tomorrow, whatever it might be. If you're outside enjoying the lovely weather, at least here in the Lehigh Valley, feel free. We love it. We love it. We love it. We love it. Stay there. And I will try to read off a list of all the groups and pages that allows us to share the program later on as we celebrate this anniversary. If you want to comment and interact and be part of the program, we need you to come to our home group Facebook page, That Other Side of Information. That I have a iPad right down here in front of me. I'm monitoring the program right there. I get to see the comment section. If you have questions, you want to yell, scream, agree, disagree, clap, celebrate, whatever it might be, I will see it straight there. Hot101.net. We are proud to be part of the Hot101.net family, and over 100,000 listeners around the globe listening to us, and we are thrilled to be part of it. It means very, very much to us to be part of the Hot101.net family, and we thank you, Hot101.net family, for allowing us to be part. And to all the listeners around the globe, Australia, New Zealand, throughout the African continent, dotted around the Western European continent, South America, Central America, Canada, throughout the Caribbean, we appreciate every single one of you, and thank you for being part of the program. And of course, throughout the history of our program, our most recent family edition, TCP, The Culture Professional, a minority-owned business right in Lancaster, PA. Their Roku channel, the morning show, will return tomorrow, and all of the great live programming that they do every single day. We are thrilled to be part of their family as well. And it's been great, and I'm actually hoping those guys will pop in a little bit later. But enough about, and I will open the phone line, of course, later in the program as well. So let's get to it. We have 2 guests with us to start, and then it's a free-for-all after that, kiddos. We'll see who dials in. We'll see what topics we try to get to and all that fun stuff. So 2 guests with us to start the program to tell us about a very important event that is happening later this week. Wednesday, the 27th, is an event called Fix PA, or Fix Harrisburg. It is co-hosted by our very own Our Revolution Pennsylvania and Fair Districts PA. And to tell us all about it is a very, I would say, a familiar face, but the voice is familiar. That's for darn sure. You've probably heard that. If you've been around PA politics, you've heard that voice before. But let us start with Tony Crocamo and JP Fox. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Hey, Jeff, and I want to introduce you and the audience to a longtime unpaid political operative, and I'm saying that because our local Republican commissioner dressed down a young activist here in Lancaster before the kid even had a chance to speak by calling him a paid political activist and, wait for it, a socialist. So that's what we're doing here in Lancaster, is countering that. And Tony Crocamo has been a long time activist, and I want to introduce everyone to Tony.
So Tony, welcome to the program. Thank you for being here, sir. Let us start the very same way that we start with every program, with every guest, with the opening and very intentionally vague question, because I like to have people answer it in the way that best comes to their brain. Who is Tony Crocamo, And how did you get here?
All right. Well, okay. I am me. Is the easiest answer to that. How I got here? Well, I got to Pennsylvania. It was employment. I was hired by a local firm when I was working in New York. We had a young child at the time, and I came out to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and said, "This is a nice area to raise a child." And so we moved here in 1983, and I'm getting used to it. It's going to be okay. And I got involved in politics when I was out here. There were a couple odd things about being in Pennsylvania. I went from an area where Catholicism, Catholic, was the predominant religion to an area where it was like fifth or sixth in the denominations, which was an interesting change.
Very true.
But we like the area, like many of the people. We don't particularly like the politics, the dominant politics of the area, and got involved in politics in the early 2000s. Actually ran for township supervisor in my municipality, West Hemphill Township, and was the first Democrat elected to township supervisor in my town in 40 some years. Then did not get reelected because Republicans woke up. And but that was an interesting moment. I'll tell you, one of the things I liked about being a township supervisor, just to tell you this quick story, on my committee, on this township supervisors, was the chair of the county Republican Party. And he was the chair, and there were 4 other Republicans on the chair. And we were having a conversation one night about a new firehouse that was going to be built. And the topic was whether or not the township should contribute to the building of the firehouse or the land. And the Republican commission supervisors, all of them wanted to contribute to the land rather than the building, because if you contribute to the building, then the fair wage law would kick in, equal, and you'd have to hire union level. So, and then they all,
And heaven
each of them in
forbid.
succession.
God, we couldn't have that. Heaven forbid.
No. And each of them in succession mentioned how, well, this would be terrible because it's going to cost more, and to do it. And when it became my turn, I said, well, here's why I support it. Who do the wages go to? They go to people in the area that live and work here and pay taxes here, and go to local stores. They pay taxes here, and so I support actually prevailing wage law. And yeah, I went through this, and this at the time, well, it still is true. Immigration is hugely important to these guys, even on the township level. And I said, prevailing wage. If you look at the way undocumented workers have affected the construction industry in our area, because employers are happy to hire people at very low wages. This is one of the tools in the toolbox that you, as Republicans who are, want to preserve, you should be for prevailing wage for that very reason. And the chair of the Republican Party, who's sitting next to me, said, "Huh." Now, I didn't change his mind or anything, but typically they don't hang around people like me. They don't hear those opinions at all. One of the other supervisors said, "Well, Tony, that's interesting, but my problem with the prevailing wage law is that we're here in Lancaster County, and we have to meet the prices that are in Philadelphia, when it really should be Adams County and maybe Dauphin County, and not Philadelphia County. And I said, huh, you know, an interesting point, you know, so, and I'm telling that story because that frames how I think government should work. You're supposed to have the discussion. You're supposed to have the argument. And I don't mean, when I say argument, I don't mean, you know, pounding on the desk and insulting each other. I'm saying, I believe this because this is my point of view. This is what I'd like to see, and this is why I'd like to see it. And the other fellows and the other women do the same. And presumably you're listening to each other and you're coming up, you know, you open yourself up to being able to say, huh, that's interesting. That's interesting. There's something we can talk about and work on. And that is what's missing in government today, and certainly is what's missing at the state level. In fact, the program we're going to do on Wednesday, Fix Harrisburg, it's a program that's been put together by Fair Districts PA, which worked on redistricting reform in Pennsylvania. We didn't change the process, but we did get better maps just because we had a lot of eyes on the process.
And when you say better map, you're really referring to, again, shocker, heaven forbid, fair maps, non-gerrymandered maps, or at least not as gerrymandered as 10 years ago.
They're not as badly gerrymandered, but certainly the Senate maps were put together to protect incumbents.
Oh yeah, we have one right next door to us with a little bubble around his house.
Right. Okay.
I think you know exactly what I'm talking about already.
Incumbent protection was part of it, and it is difficult to get maps. I would say it's impossible to get maps that's going to satisfy everybody. What Fair Districts wanted were maps where not drawn by the politicians who are going to be running in the districts. You know, you can't remove the politics from drawing maps, but you can remove the conflict of interest. And we wanted to remove the conflict of interest, but we were blocked from doing that. So I hope that kind of answers who I am. I just believe in.
Well, that's the beauty of the question, is you get to answer it any way that you want. You get to answer it how it comes into your head. That's why I do it that way. I want it just a genuine, whatever pops into your brain, whether it's a bio or a story. You told us a story and a little bit of a bio as well. Mr. Fox.
Yes, sir.
Same question to you, sir. Who is JP Fox and how did you get here?
Well, you mentioned your philosophy of politics being a Kennedy Democrat. Well, I was born in Boston, baptized in Tony's Catholic Church, and then handed a Democratic Party registration form. After living in Boston, doing police work and fire investigation, etc., I ended up here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I've done civil rights work for the last 20 years. Though when I moved here, I didn't really understand that Thaddeus Stevens represented this area back in the mid-1800s, and he's the father of the 14th Amendment, among other things. So I think I'm in a good place. I was also fortunate after the 2000 election where I could have gotten you 537 votes in Florida had I known. I amped up a John Kerry campaign here real early in 2004, and I've been doing participatory politics and criminal justice reform ever since. And of course, I'm a proud member of our Revolution PA. I was a Bernie Sanders delegate to the Philadelphia convention in 2016. Bernie would have won. Back to you.
Let me just open the floor then and make it easy, and I'm sure that we'll come up with questions along the way. Just floor is open. Tony, tell me about the event happening Wednesday with JP and my esteemed Our Revolution PA and Fair Districts. It's called Fix Harrisburg. It is virtual. Anyone can take part. I will try to get I have tried repeatedly to get the link on the Facebook page. I think I finally got it there. It's being a little odd as far as cutting and pasting, but if I will try to get it there, and I can get I'm sure we can find it and George can find it. We'll keep trying to paste it around. But just floor is open. Tell us about what is happening Wednesday. What is it about? How is it taking part? Just open floor. Go for it.
You want to start, Jonathan, or do you want me to go?
Well, yeah, I can give us the linkage between when I attended at Franklin Marshall a couple of weeks ago of Fair Districts PA, and also a Philadelphia group headed by David Thornburg, and the discussion had to do with the districting. They were focusing on the congressional districting because, as you know, Pennsylvania is losing one congressional seat in Washington. And then we focused on the local redistricting because that's been a cluster blank because of various court renderings. So having followed Fair District PA from afar, I was really pleased and privileged to hook up with Tony, who we've done political work together over the years. And Tony, I think you can pick it up from there, right?
Okay, well, I got involved in Fair Districts PA in the summer of 2016. And as I said, and I had basically had been a Democrat all my life and remained so for a couple of years. But a couple of years into Fair Districts PA, I became an independent. I re-registered as an independent because I became convinced that both political parties, Democrats and Republican, agree on gerrymandering. And they both insist that gerrymandering is nefarious, foul, and un-American, but only when the other guy does it. The things that Republicans have done to Democrats in Pennsylvania, Democrats in Maryland, have gleefully done to Republicans in Maryland and Chicago and California until California changed its redistricting process. So I became an independent. I am convinced that the political parties, the two-party system, has created a lot of damage. It's gotten toxic, certainly in my lifetime. It's gotten toxic. It's to the point now where I judge that at the state level and higher, neither party is interested in governing. They're only interested in holding and maintaining power. Why they want power and not govern, I don't know, but that is, from my opinion, it seems to be what they want to do. And in fact, I became convinced over the 5 years that I've been working, 6 years now, I've been working with Fair Districts, that in Pennsylvania, we do not have a representative democracy, which sounds like a radical statement. However, I will back it up by saying in Pennsylvania, the procedural rules that are adopted at the beginning of each session of the legislature, the first day of the session. Next time it's going to be done, it's going to be January 3rd, 2023. The procedural rules for decades now have allowed 6 people, 6 majority party roles, complete control over the agenda in Harrisburg. And those 6 are the committee chair. The committee chair in the House and in the Senate. When a bill is proposed, it goes to a committee. So there are multiple committees. But the committee chair in the House, the committee chair in the Senate, where the bill is, have complete control over the agenda. If that committee chair doesn't want to put that bill on the agenda, it won't go on the agenda, will not be discussed. So it'll just die in committee. If a bill gets out of committee and goes onto the House floor or the Senate floor, the House Majority Leader or the Senate President Pro Tem, 2 other people, that's 4. Committee chair in the House, committee chair in the Senate, House floor, the House Speaker, Senate Pro Tem. They control the agenda for the House and the Senate. If they choose not to put that bill that's been voted out of committee on the agenda, it does not get heard. And then there's the caucus leader in the House, caucus leader in the Senate. They also control the agenda. So those 6 people, we have the largest full-time legislature in the country. 203 In the House, another 50 senators, all right? 253 legislators. However, one committee chair can block any legislation. One representative in the House, Speaker of the House, can block any legislation. Caucus chair can block legislation. Another caucus chair can block legislation. The Senate Pro Tem can block legislation. Those 6 people are the only votes that matter. Fair Districts had a bill 2 sessions ago that had more than 50% of the House as co-sponsors. Couldn't get out of committee because the committee chair said, I'm not going to let it out. I don't like this redistricting idea. And the bill was gutted and never got a vote. Our bill never got a vote in the committee. And that is despite having 100,000 Pennsylvanians sign a petition supporting redistricting reform. That is despite having municipalities and counties, Democratic and Republican municipalities and counties, passing resolutions supporting redistricting reform. Those counties and municipalities that did that represented some 9 million residents of Pennsylvania, despite those resolutions passing and that information being given to the legislators. We couldn't get a vote on our bill because of that one committee chair, despite the fact that there were literally hundreds and hundreds of editorials in newspapers across the state supporting redistricting reform, supporting the legislation we supported. Couldn't get a vote, despite the fact that there was a poll that showed 67% of all Pennsylvanians favored redistricting reform. None of that mattered. The only thing that mattered was that one representative who was a committee chair, who was elected with less than 0.5% of all the votes cast in the election. That one committee chair blocked the legislation. That is not a representative democracy. And if you consider, whatever, for all of you listening, and Jonathan, whatever your Pennsylvania Our Revolution PA is supporting, and Jeff, whatever legislation you support and progressive, you think about it. If it's property tax reform, if it's equitable school funding, if it's ballot access, if it's, whatever is your issue, nothing's going to get done. Nothing is going to get done unless we fix Harrisburg by changing the rules. And this is all we want. We want the legislature to adopt rules January 3rd, the next session, beginning of the next session, that allow bills with bipartisan support to get a vote in committee, on the floor, and in both chambers. We're not saying these bills deserve to pass. We're just saying the way government is supposed to work is there's a discussion, there's amendments, you get a give and take, and you vote. We don't know where our legislature really stands on the issues that are most important to us, because the leadership protects the members from having to cast those difficult votes. I mean, our legislature, third most expensive in the country, largest full-time legislature in the country, is among the least productive in the country. They pass fewer than 7% of the bills they see every session. 93% of what they do legislatively is a waste of time. And we're saying, have the argument, have the discussion, have the vote. We have a right to know where you stand on these issues. We're paying you a full salary. We want you to do the full job.
Seems reasonable to me. What do you think, Jeff?
Let me push back a little tiny bit on some things that I absolutely understand your point of view on, but I'm not 100% behind. I happen to think that there are three parties in Harrisburg. Actually, let me take that back. There are two, and there's a corporation. I don't consider the Republican Party to even be a functioning political party any longer. They are a corporation. The elected officials that wear the Republican badge have taken their only job as to funnel as much money as humanly possible toward the top, i.e., employees trying to pay off their owners of the corporation and the stockholders. But I don't believe that constitutes a political party. They are in control largely through gerrymandering. I would say the second biggest reason is probably through the massive right-wing hate media machine, where enormous swaths of this Commonwealth continue to vote against their own self-interest. So I would take a tiny bit, and it's why legislation like what you're talking about, as well as any legislation that doesn't enrich the top 1%, dies a cruel death in the House and Senate, and where we continue to demonize the quote unquote other to be scared of. So I would start there. There are two other parties in Harrisburg, so far as I can tell. One is a group of folks who run and consider themselves members of the Democratic Party, but are just damn happy to be there. If we don't really propose any legislation or push for anything or make big floor speeches, then we won't anger anybody. And then when election time comes, we'll get reelected again. Because it's a good paying gig.
It is.
But I also think there's a growing number of, dare I say, we talked about it before we came on air and at the beginning, New Deal, progressive, liberal, Kennedy Democrats, put whatever, progressives, put whatever label in front of it you wish, that actually want to get something done. So I guess I would push back a tiny bit on the equal spread of blame. Why would you say that I'm either right or wrong?
Well, I think the blame is on both sides. The equal spread of blame was on gerrymandering and party leadership, which controls the process. Again, there's ample evidence. Okay, so in 2000 and currently, under the current rules, it's less than 5% of the bills that are passed are from the minority party. Republicans are in control. Back in 2008, when it was a split government and the House had a Democratic majority, less than 5% of the bills passed by Republicans. You know, so they both parties stiff arm the other party. Pennsylvania has been rated 0 on its legislative rules that permit collaboration. It's been rated 0, and I'll have to get the name of that the citation for you. Colorado, on the other hand, gets 100% rating. In Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania Constitution says that all power derives from the people, and the people have a right to reform or abolish the state government as it sees fit. But we don't have any mechanism to do that. There's no ballot initiative in Pennsylvania. You can't get 10,000 signatures and put an issue on the ballot.
Well, the leading Republican candidate for governor didn't want to see the American experiment on a national level continue. So we're really not all that far from abolishing state government as we know it, aren't we?
Well, I would say we don't have a representative democracy now. And this is what makes this is why I'm hopeful about this push to fix Harrisburg. It's a narrow focus. It's easily understandable. You can demonstrate to people easily how we don't have a representative government. Conservatives and progressives get pissed off at the idea. Now, conservatives get pissed off that when you say things like your voice is, these rules don't allow your voice to be heard. If you say to a conservative, far right conservative, this is undermining democracy, that doesn't hit with the same impact on those ears. But
Because
you
a
say
good percentage
your voice,
of them have already sworn off democracy.
well, but anyway, you say to them, your voices aren't being heard, that's democracy, and they respond to that. So, and you talk to people on the left side of the spectrum, and it's, democracy is under attack, or your voices aren't being heard, they respond to that. If you're talking to a group of people, and you say, Harrisburg is broken, unless you're talking to the legislature itself or their mothers, people agree with you. They just immediately agree with. So people are already on your side. And then you explain how it's broken. There's this one thing, the rules, it's not the only hole in the boat, but I think it's the biggest one. How the rules prevent representative democracy, prevents the legislators from representing their constituents. And we want to make this a campaign issue. We want people to ask their the incumbent, did you vote for the rules, the procedural rules last time? Why? They prevent you from representing us because they give all the power to these 6 positions. And if they don't like your bill, it's never going to get heard. So why would you vote for that? We want people to ask candidates, do you support reforming legislative rules? Do you support rules that would give bills with bipartisan support, a guaranteed vote in committee, on the floor, and in both chambers? People are open to that. It's an easy thing to explain. People agree that government is broken, and you can say, look at this one issue, and it's one day. They vote on the rules on the first day of the session. And the first resolution, the last few times around, the first resolution has been not to amend the second resolution. The first resolution is a resolution not to amend the rules that they're going to vote on next. And the rules have been, I think last time was about 80 pages. It's the first day of the session. A lot of the newbies haven't even read them. And you have people that have been there in a while, and there's going to be a certain number that are comfortable with the rules as they are. Again, they protect them from taking these difficult votes. They get to write legislation. Oh, by the way, they write some 5,000 bills every session. 5,000. And they pass maybe 280. All those other bills get reintroduced session after session after session. They print something like 70 million pages of bills. It is, and those all go to the landfill. And all those bills, you have the legal teams that research, you have the people proofing the bills, you have the printers. And oh, by the way, in Harrisburg, everybody runs as a fiscal conservative. We're going to save money. We're going to save money. In Harrisburg, there is a printer, an official printer for the Republican caucus, and an official printer for the Democratic caucus. Those are patronage jobs that we are paying for. There is an IT department for the Republican caucus and an IT department for the Democratic caucus. It's one state government. Why do we have 2 IT departments? Why do we have 2 printers? Why is this money being wasted? Pennsylvania taxpayers are paying for these political patronage jobs. And it's millions and millions of dollars. This government is broken. We have to fix it. And one of the bright spots, one of the reasons I'm excited about this, again, it's an easy issue to explain. It's a narrow window to fix it, January 3rd. We got a campaign coming up. We got people that can work on this. We can ask the questions, go to these events, ask the questions on Facebook or on social media. We have a survey going out by fair districts to all the candidates on where they stand on these rules, which we'll be publishing. We have a know before you vote site on the webpage. But this issue is going to be done January 3rd. So we'd like to have people come out and go to Fix. If you want more information on this, go to fixharrisburg.com. And there you will find background and more information on this issue. You can volunteer to do polling place outreach on primary day and just get the word out to more people on primary day about this one issue. And there are plenty of very good resources on that site to help you do that. And there's training available to help people do that. So we're looking for people to help with that. But people understand this issue and they respond to this issue. And because of, again, we got stymied Fair Districts did in trying to change the redistricting process in Pennsylvania. They just used these rules to block it, okay, for 5 years. And by the way, I'm sorry, I keep going on these asides. It's
It's all right. We have as long as a 4-hour program. We are very used to we go off in branches. We go down into the rabbit holes. We go all the dark places.
The knock against Fair Districts is, they think Fair District is a completely volunteer organization. We don't have any paid members, not one. All volunteer organization, although there are people in the legislature who insist that George Soros sends me money. Would that they were correct. It's just another way that they're wrong, that on this one, they're wrong, but I wish they were right.
The old tried and true tested dog whistle of
George Soros.
Billionaire money and George Soros, who just happens to be Jewish.
Oh.
We don't talk about that.
No.
Yeah. The old tried and true dog whistle.
Yeah.
Open just, if I could chime in, because I want to make sure everyone knows that our Revolution and Fair Districts will be drilling this down come Wednesday at 6 p.m. And also, Tony, if you could give me the elevator speech, because I'm going to be mixing it up with our candidates here. We're also going to visit state committee for the Democrats come June. And I'd like to have a nice tight knit spiel to whack over these representatives' heads.
Okay, well, the elevators. Well, first of all, I'm going to go to the point that I was making before about the caucuses. I mean, there was 10 years ago, 11 years ago, there was a grand jury report. They didn't indict anyone, but a grand jury report that talked about the caucuses and how they waste millions of dollars. And, somebody ought to do something about it. And there's nowhere in the Constitution about a caucus. But Jonathan, for our event, I'm going to have, it'll be about a half an hour, including Q&A. People will be able to ask questions and stuff. And we're going to go over, but the short version of this is Harrisburg is broken. The rules are the first order of business. The first thing, in supply chain issues, you have that big ticket item that has to get there before everything else. That's the big ticket item. Fix the rules. Until you fix those procedural rules to allow bipartisan bills to get a vote, nothing's going to change. We're going to have the government that we have. And, out of 281 bills passed in the 2019-2020 session, 182 were unanimous. And that sounds, and the legislatures, the leadership in the legislature will point to 182 unanimous bills in both chambers. Isn't that wonderful? And it shows we get along and we're bipartisan. A lot of those were renaming roads and bridges. A lot of those were budget issues that had to be voted on. And a lot of those repealed antiquated laws about where you can play tennis or polo. there were still a good number of bills that were unanimous, but those were not big ticket items. If there is a problem that doesn't require a lot of money, the legislature seems to be able to work on it. But if it requires a lot of money, you get the we can't afford it. We don't want to spend money on that. Blah blah blah. It doesn't go anywhere.
But then, Tony, doesn't that come down to more of the same old rather than simply broken parties? That there's a tiny handful of rich people in the Commonwealth who don't want to pay for anything.
Yeah,
It's 50 years. It's 50 years since Nixon and 40 plus years since Reagan. Rich people are rich, and they deserve, it's the prosperity doctrine. They deserve to rule over you because they're the ones that have all the wealth. So obviously they have something more than the rest of you have. You are all takers and they're the makers. I don't disagree with you that the system is broken. I'm wondering though, if we're targeting, or maybe targeting is a wrong word, if we're looking for the root of the problem in the wrong forest. It comes down to one party is bought and paid for, and there's a couple folks in my party that are bought and paid for. But is the whole of the rot all the way through, or is one former political party a corporation who's simply trying to make sure that the rich people stay rich and get paid in the hopes that maybe they'll get a cushy lobbying job on the way out? We saw it happen with a couple senators already.
Yeah, sure.
Are we looking at the right place? Are we looking in the right dark corners for the reasons, the very, very legitimate broken examples that you're giving us? And again, I don't disagree in any way, shape, or form of the outcome, but are we looking at the right roots of the problem?
Well, it may not be the roots of the problem. However, how do you reverse it? And we're saying that if you get you in Pennsylvania, again, we did not change the process. Fair districts did not change the process for redistricting in Pennsylvania, but we got better maps than we would have had. We got a more open and transparent process because there were so many people, so many eyes on this. And if we get even more eyes, and that was just with fair districts and League of Women Voters and the Committee of 70 and a couple of other groups, but we have reached out to.
That's a whole topic. Maybe we could get into in a second hour. By the way, what I find the vile and disgusting demonization of the League of Women Voters. My goodness.
Yes,
are we talking about, are we now at a point where any group in the country that thinks people should actually vote is somehow now leftist and communist and everything else? I mean, my goodness, the League of Women Voters, it doesn't get more docile and neutral than them.
Oh, you know what?
We could probably get into that a little later, but just when you said that, it keyed off into my brain of like the right-wing demonization of as neutral a group as you could possibly find is the League of Women Voters. My goodness. Their only requirement that they want candidates to actually debate and have to answer questions, and they want people to vote. How radical of them. My goodness.
Yeah, but they are also for good government, which is the radical part. Which that's what they're against. Good government is collaborative government. Collaborative government undermines
Agreed.
Power. So
who do you have?
I don't disagree with you about the money problem and everything. However, I would say to your argument that we're looking in the wrong place, I would say no, we're not, because you have to look at what allows them to wield power. And the rules are written by the rules are written by the majority leaders.
Mm-hmm.
The rules allow the majority leaders to select committee chairs.
Are they, or are they written by the Commonwealth Foundation?
No, they're written. Well, I don't even. The majority leaders.
You get my point.
Yeah, it's who. I don't care what the original source of the unfair rules is. The rules propagated by the majority leaders are going to.
For their own benefit.
The leaders absolute control over who is a committee chair. Other states have automatic calendaring. Like 18 states have automatic calendaring. If a bill is proposed, it gets on the calendar. It has to be debated. It can be tabled or something. That's fine if it's not worth more discussion, but it gets discussed. In Pennsylvania, something like 80% of the bills never get discussed. They're dying committee. All those bills, they should die. It's a waste of time, effort, and money. And that includes bills that have bipartisan support. They can't get them out of committee. Now, the legislators will say, "Oh, we have the discharge petition. You can get a discharge petition in committee, and you can get the majority of the committee members to vote something out of committee or have a vote on something in committee over the objection of the committee chair." Yeah, that theoretically exists. I have been unable to find an instance where it worked. So my response to anybody who says, "Oh, there's a discharge petition, and that's the escape valve," I would say, one, it doesn't work, and because it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. So it's just not there. But
What sources of support have you found so far inside the levers of power, so to speak, inside government? What support do you have?
There are, on both sides of the aisle, we have Republican representatives and senators, and we have Democratic representatives and senators who support this. There are good people that run for legislative office, and they think they're going to go to Harrisburg and they're going to make a difference, and they get there, and then the rules prevent them from doing anything. The minority party has no say at all in what legislation advances. None, zero. And again, less than 5% of the bills that pass under the current majority party are from the minority party. And the same thing happened when the parties were flipped. The other party was in charge. The vast majority of bills were from the major party. And you might say, okay, that's the consequence of election. And that's fine. If you have a majority in the House and you have a majority in the Senate, that's fine. But to stop 80% of bills from being heard in committee, that's crazy. It's just crazy. If a bill has bipartisan support, give it a vote. Again, I'm not saying pass all of these bills. I'm telling you, those 5,000 bills, there aren't that many good bills among those 5,000 bills. A lot of those bills are written just so that the representative or the senator can have something to put in his or her newsletter to constituents. I proposed a bill. I sponsored this bill. I'm the primary sponsor for this bill for, motherhood and apple pie. It goes nowhere. They know it's going to go nowhere, but it looks good in a newsletter. I say, make them discuss every damn bill proposed in committee. You're going to see a diminution of the number of bills in committee. It's going to stop being a puffery exercise. It's going to be real legislation that's going to be handled. There'll be some jabeeps out there that are going to have goofy legislative things. Fine. We can handle the jabeeps. But when the jabeeps are in charge.
A growing number.
Oh, it's a growing number. In my lifetime, the number, I won't go into that.
A growing number.
It is.
You talk about sponsoring legislation just for the press of it. You got a lot of folks running around the Commonwealth doing all sorts of fun stuff for the press of it. One of them, several of them are running for office.
Well, yeah. And it used to be policy mattered. And now it's followers on Twitter.
That's how the money comes in.
That's how the money comes in. Yeah, it's all part of it. But again, to get back to your point that we're looking in the wrong place, I'm saying, no, we're not looking in the wrong place. We're trying to wrest their ability to control the process from their hands. You may well be right on why they are there and how they got there. That's fine. But I'm saying, okay, they're there. What do we do about it? What do we do now? Again, it's not the only hole in the boat, but I think it's the biggest one.
Where does money come into all of this? It would seem to me that even bipartisan legislation, and thank you for the statistics, because I didn't even think it was that high, a percentage of actual bipartisan legislation. And I have had Democratic lawmakers on this program tell me they have friends on the other side of the aisle. They have folks who want to get something done. But in the vein that you have risen, well, we might have to tax people for that. Rich people might have to pay for that. They might have to contribute for that. The fossil fuel industry, who gets a free $3.2 billion a year and is, again, in the governor's proposed budget.
Mm-hmm.
The quote unquote Democratic governor's budget still continues to give over $3 billion to the fossil fuel industry. Gee, what we could do with that kind of money. How much does money play into this? That piece of legislation A, co-sponsored by 3 Democrats from around the Commonwealth and 3 from Republicans from around the Commonwealth, to, I don't know, provide additional monies for municipalities to buy fire trucks. Let's just say that, just out of somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to pay for it with a 0.5% increase in an extraction tax. We don't even have an extraction tax, but the lands right fees that we do have, and so on and so on and so on. It would seem to me that the fossil fuel industry just lays down a couple of campaign checks, predominantly to the 6 people that you talked about. And we know what party, well, the former political party that controls the legislature and has for all but what I think it's 6 or 8 years out of the last 30 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Again, goes to my argument of the balance of blame. That money just kills. It seems to me this is a money issue. The rules that you're talking about would solve some of these problems. I'm not arguing that in any way, shape, or form. But what about the deeper money issue that's at stake here? Is that just not? Are you just trying to take the most straight, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line kind of solution, which is let's go to the rules that these bodies make?
Well, what I am saying is that money issues, campaign finance reform, a gift ban legislation.
Right, yes, the gift ban died too. Yeah,
it's very popular with the public.
It is,
but
indeed.
It hasn't gone anywhere. With March on Harrisburg for over 5 years has been working on a gift ban. They can't get anywhere. So my point is, unless the rules change, whatever issue you are concerned about on changing, whatever good government issue you're concerned about, unless the rules change, nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to happen on campaign finance reform. Nothing is going to happen on gift ban. Nothing is going to happen to reduce the awful effect that money has on our legislature and our society as a whole. Nothing is going to put that in check unless and until the rules are reformed and allow good government legislation a chance to go to a vote. What other avenue? I'm saying it's the only avenue we have. You can't get anything. The people would say to me, "Oh, they're working on redistricting. They're never going to give up. They're never going to give up control." And they were right. Those people were right. They never gave up the control. They stiffed us. They blocked us. They used the rules to block us. Campaign finance reform. They used the rules to block that. Ballot access. They'll use the rules to block that. They use the rules to have a death grip on the legislative process. So to me, it's the first thing. Again, it's not the only hole in the boat, it's the biggest hole in the boat. Patch the biggest hole in the boat, then you're able to work on the smaller holes in the boat, the other holes in the boat. And I say nothing will change until and unless the rules change. They can't. We don't have a representative democracy. We elect people and they can't represent their constituents because of the rules. Now you can draw a line from the rules to the people who write the rules to the money that supports the people who write the rules. Yeah, that's true. But if you want to break that cycle, you have to fix the rules first. I don't know of any other way to do it. The game. Some of your listeners may remember W.C. Fields, in the movie My Little Chickadee, wonderful movie, I highly recommend it. A he's a carnival barker, and he's spinning a wheel, and it's clear that the wheels are working in his favor, all the time. And this country bumpkin comes up to him and says, "Is this a game of chance?" And W.C. Fields says, "Not the way I play it. No, the game is fixed.
Yeah.
The game is fixed."
You saw Elizabeth Warren in the 2020 presidential primary. The game is rigged. It's rigged against you. 6:03 Eastern time here. We blew straight past my bottom of the hour reset of the program. So since I'm close to the top of the hour, let me regain some FCC footing here and reset everything for you. This is the Kennedy Effect. We have returned to you live on the 24th of April, 2022. We missed you last week. We hope you had a blessed Easter, Ramadan, Passover season. We hope you are all well. We hope you are enjoying what here in the Commonwealth is a gorgeous, gorgeous spring day. Actually feels a bit like summer. Supposedly the weather is supposed to turn a bit on us later in the week and get a little cold and chilly again. But at least for today, boy, it's brilliant outside. And we hope you're enjoying it. Wherever you might be across the Facebook universe, the 100 places where we have shared the program, you can stay right there. Continue to listen, enjoy, yell at your listening device of choice. However, if you would like to join us, be interactive, be part of the program, you know how much I ask you for phone calls and comments and questions and interaction every single week, every single program. We love NPR, but it can get a little lectury. We don't want to be that here. We want you to be part of the program. Please come. It's right on the screen. That other side of information is our Facebook home for all things the Kennedy Effect. If you will see the program right in line there on the timeline, tap on it, it fills the screen. That's where the comments come from. If you have comments and questions, I will see them and I will ask them. Hot101.net, our name is our web address. It's hot101.net. You can go to the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store for Android, or for any other type of device. You can use the TuneIn radio app and you can listen to hot101.net around this globe of ours. You can also play along with me and my new favorite game show. You can tell Alexa, "Hey Alexa, play hot101.net. One of these days I will do that, and someone will get to me in the comments and say you turned on my Alexa, and I will be very giddy and happy with myself, like a spoiled little child. I will consider it quite an achievement. TCP, the Culture Professional, a minority-owned business from right here, from Lancaster, actually, right where you are, gentlemen. Support them. The morning show will be on that other side of information tomorrow morning, and of course their own Facebook presence, a very, very large one, and their Roku channel, and their internet radio station, WTCP, as well. We will open up the phone lines a little later. It is, of course, our third anniversary, believe it or not. The program has been around for 3 years now. Not solidly, of course, we've taken breaks in there. There's been illnesses and family issues and work and holidays and so on, but for all intent and purpose, for 3 years, we have been with you. We started on April 17th of 2019, our first show. It was a whopping, I think, hour. I think I may have done maybe 2 that night. Took a break in the middle of it because I was so nervous, and had we played, I think April played music. I think we ran downstairs, I got a drink, gathered myself, and came back. We had about a dozen Facebook locations that night. We now have about 100, usually over 100 each week. The 2 internet radio stations globally, and of course the Roku channel as well. We have all of our social media up. We are on Twitter at That Kennedy Talk. You can email this program, thatotherkennedy@gmail.com. That Other Side of Information is the name of our home group Facebook page, as well as the YouTube channel, the Instagram, the Patreon, and the TikTok. I actually remembered to do a TikTok this week. Got some snarky comments on a couple of my TikToks, about, well, I don't need to publicize that, but they were snarky. And oh gosh, were they clever? Oh, I was so giddy and funny how clever they were. But we will open up the phone line shortly. If you do not know how to get involved in this event, again, the event is happening on Wednesday, the 27th of April, this Wednesday from 6 p.m. Eastern Time, co-hosted by Our Revolution Pennsylvania and Fair Districts PA. It is a virtual event. The link for the event can be found on both the Our Revolution Pennsylvania Facebook page, I'm sure the Fair Districts Facebook page, and actually our own Facebook page, that other side of information. You will find it at all three places. It is virtual. You don't even need to leave the house. So right after work, you can tune in and find out about this event and find out what Tony and JP are talking about, which is literally trying to fix, I would say maybe even restore Harrisburg so that government actually does something. Think about the very simple argument that Tony's making, that legislation should get a vote. What a radical idea. Let our elected representatives, who are supposed to be representing our best interests and what we want as a people, actually vote up or down on some of these pieces of legislation. I think even most folks who support legislation, Bill XYZ, would be disappointed to see their legislation voted down, but at least would feel better knowing that at least it got that far and got to a vote. So that is that's the essence for what we're talking about on Wednesday, but I will let Tony and JP talk about that further. And please keep an eye on the screen. Please keep it listen out. I will let you know when the phone line is open and we will take your calls. Tony, folks that are going to tune into the event on Wednesday, what can they expect? Is it primarily presentation? Is it interactive? Is it call to action? Is it all of the above? What will basically be taking place on Wednesday from 6 p.m.?
Well, it's going to be all of the above. I'm going to be doing a presentation. It's going to have a PowerPoint slide, and it's not going to be death by PowerPoint. Trust me. It's going to be a whole list of things. And then it's going to be Q&A. And the call to action is going to be to go to fixharrisburg.com and to, at this point, volunteer to be a polling place outreach person for the May primary, and just raise the public's consciousness about this at the polling place. And you'll be getting, there's training available and there's support materials available, and there's information on fixharrisburg.com. A lot of background information on this, but it's a very simple ask. We want, procedural rules allow partisan gatekeepers to control the agenda and block reform. Whatever reform you want, it's not going to happen. Whatever your issue is, it's not going to happen because of the rules. They block reform. They shut out our voices. The rules aren't set in stone. Legislative leaders decide what the rules are going to be. They're voted on the first day of the session. Make this a campaign issue. Ask the incumbents where they stand on these rules. Ask candidates where they stand on the rules. Because a lot of these candidates don't know. They have no idea that they're going to be absolutely impotent as legislators when they get there because of the rules. They don't know. We all tend to, and this is sort of a nice thing about our society, I suppose. Maybe we're foolish and gullible. Most people, I think, expect government to kind of limp along and work on its own. They don't realize the extent of the dysfunction, and it's dysfunction by design. Our state government is designed not to pass legislation. That is intentional. It's deliberate. So
What is the genesis of that, do you believe? Does it go back all the way to the founding of the Commonwealth, or is it a recent change in
It's
the
it's
influence
been
of with the influence of money, the hard right turn of Republicans? Where do you think, what is the genesis of that, do you think? Because I agree with you. Again, it's not so much that we disagree. I'm trying to ask questions to try to bring out a little more of it. Where does it come from? Where do you think that comes from?
okay. It's
I mean, the way to best solve a problem is to define it. Well,
Mhm.
you admit you first off, you admit you have one. I think everyone would admit that we have one. But what is
Yes.
the genesis of it? Where does again? I agree with you. The legislature has set itself up to do absolutely nothing other than, in its current state, talk about banning books and fraudulent elections and scapegoat trans kids and things like that. Because heaven forbid, rich people might have to pay for something. And at the end of the day, I don't think it's any more complicated than that. I think the ideas of trans kids are in your bathrooms kind of thing is the shiny object. That's the shiny object. Meanwhile, we give billions to fossil fuel industry. We don't pay, we shift hundreds of millions out of the transportation fund to pay for state police instead of just paying to pay them.
Mhm.
We jam a bunch of colleges in rural areas together because what the hell, they're only rural kids anyway. We don't care about them. We scapegoat Philadelphia because they're largely black and they're not really part of Pennsylvania anyway, and things like that, combined with a system that is designed to grind to a halt. But what's the genesis of it? Where does it start?
Well,
Where did it start?
speaking genesis of it, I mean, you might as well get biblical. The money is the root of all evil. I mean, it is in my lifetime, politics, which was never beanbag. It was always rough and tumble and serious. But in my lifetime, several things have happened. One of them, compromise, has become a dirty word. When I was in kindergarten, you were taught how to cooperate and compromise, and it was seen as a good. It was seen as a value. But to
It's
promote,
also a natural state. It is a scientifically proven natural state of nature.
Mhm.
That if you put 100 pick something, fish, birds,
right?
children
Mhm.
in a room, and you give one kid 99 cookies and the other 99 get one cookie, the natural untarnished state of nature is that the kid with the 99 cookies will share.
If he's under 5, yes.
Right. Well, no, that's actually a very good point. It is right that this greed is learned.
Right.
It is a learned behavior, just like bigotry, just like misogyny, just like racism. These are learned behaviors, and it is a natural state of nature. You can see it in nature that if there is, again, there's 100 birds and one bird has 90, you give one bird 99 pieces of seed, the other 99 have one piece of seed. The bird with the 99 pieces will share. It is a natural state of nature
Yeah,
to
well,
share and spread the wealth. It is natural. Greed is learned. It is not inherent. It is learned.
yeah,
And
no,
it is a pathology, by the way. It
mhm.
is a psychopathy, the same way that you might have the woman at the end of your block who has 210 cats, or the couple that has all the hallways are stacked up with newspapers. It is a psychopathy. It's a hoarding psychopathy, except it's for money instead of newspapers or shoeboxes or whatever it might be. And where the psychopathy has twisted now, folks, and I don't know that JP and Tony will agree, this is my opinion, where the psychopathy has turned now is that these rich folks, the two richest people in the country, by the way, now have as much wealth as the bottom 150 million. There's 330 million people in the US. I used to give you the stat that the three richest in the bottom 160. It's even more stark when you think about it that two people have as much wealth as the bottom 150 million Americans. This is a psychopathy. And that psychopathy has now warped has actually warped from I want all the money I can get my hands on to now looking at you, America. And not just America, by the way, you, the working class in the UK, in Australia, in New Zealand, and all the countries where we're listened to. And that top 1/100th of 1% saying that the money you have in your pocket is somehow theirs. That's our money. Yeah, you use it for food and school and doctors. That's for us. That's our money. The money that you worked for because you're working for them anyway. It is the root of all evil. This greed is learned. It is a psychopathy. It is a damage. Sorry, Tony.
No, no, right. To get the acronym, it's the love of money is the root of all evil. It's not money itself, but it's the love of it. And I think that is
the greed, the chase,
the
chase, the I never have enough. I never have enough.
Yeah, and it's so we've gone from well in DC where senators and congressmen and women would have lunch and dinner with each other, and we were friends, and they would go to parties, and they were on different sides of the fence, but they had the argument. They had the legislative arguments, and the party in charge of the House or the Senate controlled the agenda, but not to the exclusion of the other party. Now we have we're in a winner take all kind of environment, and politicians will certainly, the winning side, you'll never hear the losing side say this very often, but the phrase elections have consequences, I have never heard that used to justify anything good. It's used to justify doing something that shouldn't be done, but to give it we can do this.
Unqualified judicial appointments, tax cuts.
Right.
Yeah.
Elections have consequences, i.e., in Catch-22, which one of my favorite books. A lot of people think Catch-22 is if you're sane enough to try to get out of combat by acting insane, clearly you're sane, and you belong in combat.
Klinger.
Yeah, Klinger, the same way. But Yossarian, Klinger.
Yeah.
But
folks, if you don't know who Klinger is from MASH, you'll have to look that one.
They're reruns. People know.
I have to look that one up.
But the real Catch-22 in the book is the soldiers come in and they take somebody away. And they said to the woman that was there, "We can do anything to you that you can't stop us from doing." And that's where we are. That's the elections have consequences, is what they're really saying is we can do anything to you that you can't stop us from doing. And that's what the wealthy and the powerful say, we can do anything to you that you can't stop us from doing. That's where we are as a country. There may have been elements of it all along from our founding, but it did not become, well, I guess it's ebbed and flowed. There was the Gilded Age, I
think actually we're arguably we're in a second one.
No argument at all. Actually, we are in a second one.
Wealth disparity in this country is worse now than it was before and during the Republican Great Depression. Worse.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question that I got in the comments.
Sure.
Tony, since I solicit these so much, it's great to finally have one. Patricia, one of our great loyal listeners, and I think Patricia may have even rung into the program occasionally. If I'm remembering correctly, I could have that wrong. Will there be literature to hand out for poll sitters? And that she is recommending Wednesday's event to all of her local quote unquote virgin candidates, first timers, if you will. Will there be literature to hand out?
Fair Districts PA and FixedHarrisburg.com has literature to hand out at the polling place. Yes. And also, again, FixedHarrisburg.com there's information there, and I can, you can send an email to info@fdpa.com, info@fdpa.com, and ask about polling place outreach, and you'll get a response.
How important, it seems kind of old fashioned, I think, in a way. I am running for the PA Democratic State Committee here from Northampton County. Kristen is running as well. We've talked about, postcards and yard signs and all that. How effective and how old fashioned, not old fashioned is not the right word. I guess it is considered old fashioned by some, but in the work that Fair Districts does, not just for Wednesday, but generally, approaching someone, shaking a hand and handing them a little something tangible to say, this is what we're trying to do. And we're doing it not just for us, but for you too.
That is very important. And Fair Districts PA is not bipartisan. We are nonpartisan. We see good candidates in each party. We see terrible candidates in each party. Good legislators in each party, and terrible ones. We are pro-citizen involvement. We are pro-democracy, small d. We think that if the voice of the people gets heard, we're going to have a much better outcome. I mean, okay.
Let me ask you a chicken and egg question then.
Sure.
Because I think part of what is wrong and broken in the Pennsylvania legislature, and again, I don't disagree with you that things are broken. We might have different ideas about how or why or where it started, but the fact that it's broken is indisputable.
Right.
So maybe it's a chicken and egg argument where people's disconnection with their government. Did we as an electorate become disconnected first, and our would-be legislators took advantage of it? Or did they disconnect us from the process? I happen to lean from a national standpoint. One of the very first things, and you will remember, that the Reagan administration did when it came to power was go after civics education through the Department of Education. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't understand how your government works, it's really hard to complain about. Because then you can just be told, well, that's not how it works. And
right. Well,
really, then you can explain you can give any type of explanation to say, this is how it really works, even if that explanation is completely false. Mm-hmm. Were we disconnected from government, or did we disconnect ourselves from government first and the greed took over?
I think we were disconnected. I fervently believe that neither party is interested in absolutely free and open elections. And as evidence, I would point to the disparity of signatures that a Republican or Democrat needs to get to run for state office compared to a third-party candidate. Third-party candidates have to get inordinately more signatures to get on the ballot. Why? Who controls the process? It's Republicans and Democrats control the process.
I heard an interesting caller with Tom Hartman last week. It was really something that I had not thought about. I have not only called for voter reform or fair districts, but I think the United States needs full out election reform. I think we need to fundamentally change how elections are performed in this country. I think we need more of a UK type model. 6 weeks before election day, that's it. It's a 6-week campaign, publicly financed, end of story. Not running for you have people out there who have been running for president for 6 and 8 years because they're making money off of it.
Mhm.
Remember, Trump said, I'll be the first man to make money off of being president. And he has. We don't just need voter reform we need full blown election reform in this country. Does any of that, as far as good government and so on, does that hit a spot with you?
Oh, absolutely. I have a lot of issues that I want to have addressed. However, in the state, again, there's not going to be any progress on anything. Again, no matter what your issue is, what your good government issue is, campaign, finance reform, ballot action.
Not even just good government, about like, we need X number of feet setback away from a major highway, or you can't build a big office complex if you can't control the water runoff, or even, it's really anything. It's not even good government legislation, but just legislation, common sense legislation, period.
Yeah, well, again, the easy stuff gets done. The easy stuff that doesn't cost a lot of money gets done. But the difficult things, i.e. the real problems we have in our society that need to be addressed, don't get done. And that's the shame of it. And again, it's been in my lifetime that's happened. Pennsylvania does not have any collaborative methods of passing legislation. You know, people say, why can't they work across the aisle? Why can't they work across the aisle?
Because there's
The
not
Republican
profit in it for too many people. That's why.
And another reason they can't work across the aisle, the Republicans get together in the Republican caucus room, and the Democrats get together in the Democratic caucus room, and they decide what they're going to do and what bills they're going to support and which ones they're not going to support. And in the caucus room, there is no aisle. They come out of those rooms with their positions defined. There is no open debate. Positions are set. They don't reach out across the aisle, because in caucus rooms where they make these decisions on how to proceed, there is no aisle to reach out across. There's no collaborative effort. The rules prevent collaborative effort. The rules give all the power. I mean, you have a supermajority in the committees. The committees are, and well, I think it's a 15-member committee. It's 9 are in one party. You know, it's a supermajority already in there. And really, some states have, and I think this is a good idea, in the committees, if it's a nearly 50-50 House or Senate, or if it's a 60-40, then the committee makeup should reflect that 60-40 split, or 55-45 split, whatever it is. You know, proportional. The committee representation should be proportional to the seats in that chamber. Some states do that, and I think that's a good thing to do.
6:31 Eastern Time here on the Kennedy Effect and live for April 24th, 2022. Thank you for being here with us, each and every single one of you, and every single group that allows the sharing of this program, every national page, Hot 101, TCP, everybody. Our 3rd anniversary celebration today. We are so glad to have every single one of you with us. We could not be here if you are not there. No matter how much I might think of myself on occasion, no matter how much information I think we're putting out there, no matter how much education I think we're passing along, it doesn't mean anything if you are not listening and watching, and you have been for 3 years now, and we are deeply, deeply, deeply grateful. We could not do it without you. We continue to ask every single one of you, every group member, every national page, every global page, everyone that listens, everyone that watches, everything, please share our program. We have no advertisers and no money. I am not here getting rich, I guarantee you. 3 years in, I have still lost money on this program, even though we haven't had a major capital expenditure in quite a while. We're still behind, I guarantee you. You think there's a difference in the party? You know, there's blue and red states. This is a red program because we're in the hole. How about that? We'll put it that way. But we couldn't do the program if you weren't listening. If there was no one out there paying any attention, it would be kind of silly to to be here, and good people like JP and Tony and all of the guests that we have had over the last 3 years, none of them would show up here if you weren't here to listen. So if you have show suggestions, guest suggestions, share our program on your own personal Facebook pages, any group that you are in that you think is appropriate. Please continue to do that. And we are grateful for you for doing it. Hot101.net, TCP, that other side of information is our home group Facebook page. The phone line is open. As I have told you many times before, we use a very simple free program, Google Voice. We can take one phone call at a time. Everyone will hear you. Phone line is open. Everyone will hear you. No pressure. Don't get nervous, everybody. Everyone, the entire globe is listening, but don't let that bother you. 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189. We continue with JP and Tony, and I think the guest, the anniversary part of the program might start to be kicking in, because I'm starting to get some messages about whether it's a good time to buzz in or not. So that might be happening. Let me 267-227-9189. And again, the event is on Wednesday, the 27th of April, Wednesday the 27th, 6 p.m. Eastern. The link is on that other side of information. It is also at the Our Revolution Pennsylvania page, Our OUR Revolution Pennsylvania Facebook page. You will find the link there and all of that. Where you can, in fact, I think it's a mobilized link. You can just click on, you'll enter all your information, all of that. I'm typing at the same time, being a little broken in my language because I'm thinking I think I can walk and chew gum. I can't type and chew gum, apparently. I can't type and host the program at the same time. So all of that said, the phone line is open. It's so funny. I'm just trying to keep it going here, kids. What can I say? But this is really, I think this is a great event. Because it's going to be very simple for you. It's educational. It is just a Zoom call. You get, you go to the Mobilize, get a link. They'll give you, sign up. You'll get the information through there. It is 100% free. You don't have to leave the house. You don't have to do anything. Just find a screen, and goodness knows, we all know how to Zoom after the last 2.5 years, don't we? So, well, 2 years, really. Yeah, I'm about right. About 2 years. Yeah, we all know how to do that. So it's really quite simple, and find out what you can do, how you can help. And I think maybe the underreported part of this is how bad the problem is. I do think what Tony's brought us tonight is a new focus, a new understanding, a new look. We know how partisan Harrisburg is, and we know that money is a big damn part of it. But I don't think a lot of us knew it is as simple as the operating rules of the legislature itself. It's the first action. It's actually written into the U.S. Constitution. The first action of a new Congress is to set its own rules. The houses, the actual chambers of the federal government, the House and the Senate, get to write the rules under which that they operate. That happens here in PA, and that is why legislation that means something to you, fair education funding, criminal justice reform, an extraction tax, stopping new fracking wells, water purity, regulations are nothing other than protections, regulations on pipelines, all of it just stops dead. It just stops dead. So you can take part in this event on Wednesday. I will be there. I certainly hope to be there if I'm not working till midnight like I usually am. but I plan to be there. I hope you will be too. Tony will be there. JP will be there. And it's, Tony, take us through just again, before you have to leave us, how do folks sign up? Where can they find a link to it? And again, for all, basically, what would folks expect to have take part? What do they expect to happen to them during this event?
Well, during the event, it's going to be, again, it's going to be a presentation and a question and answer period. For additional information now, though, you can go to fixharrisburg.com. And you can also go to, there is a calendar and Fair Districts PA. So you can go to Fair District PA's website, fairdistrictpa.com, fdpa.com, and access the calendar, events calendar, and you'll see the event that John Paul is hosting, our Revolution PA is hosting. And it's going to be my portion is going to be 30 minutes, presentation, Q&A. It's going to have details about this. We're going to talk about how Harrisburg is supposed to work. We're going to talk about the reality, how it actually works. We're going to talk about the rules and why they're the problem. And then we're going to talk about what you can do to help fix the rules, to help fix Harrisburg. And it's... I found people are really surprised. I mean, again, we tend to think the government works okay, and they're just muddling along, and maybe they're a bunch of incompetence. But when people find out that the dysfunction we have in government is by design, it's dysfunction by design, they tend to get upset. And I'm hoping they'll want to do something. Again, redistricting, we couldn't change the process, but we got better maps than we would have had because of all the attention it got. And because of those slightly better maps, certainly in the House, not so much in the Senate, but because of those slightly better maps, there are 50, I believe 50 newbies coming in. There are 50 districts statewide that don't have an incumbent running. So we're going to get 50 newbies, and those 50 newbies may not know this. They may be, oh boy, I'm going to be in the legislature. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do and they get there, and leadership says,
pension and free lifetime health care after 10 years.
Yes.
Unlike any other job in the Commonwealth.
Unlike any other job. And not only that, we have a full-time legislature that spends more days in recess than they do in session with full benefits. What job have you ever had that has more vacation time than work days and get full pay? Have you ever had a job like that? So that may explain why some people, even though they can't do anything legislatively, hang around. It's not a bad gig if you just want to be a taker rather than a producer. And that there are people in the legislature that are certainly doing that, and there are good people as well.
Tony, before you go, I would like to do with you what I do with every guest, which is, of course, thank you beyond words for the time that you've given us, especially on a Sunday evening, which is, kind of still traditionally a family kind of, quiet evening as we get ready to get back into the grind of it and so on for the next day. But I would like to just leave the floor open to you for, is there any points that we did not get to cover? Any points that you did not think you got to fully explain? And finally, how do people follow you, contact you, get to Fair Districts? I'll handle the Our Revolution part, and any of the other partner organizations that you're with. I know Fair Districts has a pretty good list of partner organizations. So I just want to open the floor to you again. Anything that we didn't get to cover, anything that you think we did not get to finish covering, and how do people follow you, find Fair Districts, et cetera, et cetera?
Okay, well, the Fair District is Google Fair Districts PA, and you'll get the website, fixharrisburg.com. You can get the website. If you want to contact me, you can send an email to info@fdpa and just ask Ask them to forward the email to me, and they will. What I have to say is so simple. I covered everything. I mean, Harrisburg is broken. The way to fix Harrisburg is to fix the rules. The rules are written by the majority party, give too much power to the majority party, and it gives them a complete, absolute stranglehold on the legislative process. No bill can get through. The only votes that matter in Harrisburg are those 6 majority party rolls. Nobody else matters. And in order to fix that, the rules have to change. And unless the rules change, no progressive or good government or important legislation is going to be debated and voted on in Harrisburg. It's just not going to happen.
Well, look for Tony on Wednesday evening. Again, Fair Districts PA in conjunction with my own humble home organization, Our Revolution Pennsylvania. I can say humble now because JP's not here. There's nothing humble about JP. Just saying. Just throwing that out there. I can say that now because he's not here anymore. I'll find out about that later. Fair Districts PA and Our Revolution PA, Wednesday, April 27, 6 p.m. Go to the Fair Districts Facebook page, the Our Revolution PA Facebook page. That other side of information, you will find all of the information that you need to be part of that event. Tony, thank you for being here. I have some bad news for you before you go, and that is you are part of the family now. So I sincerely hope that this will not be the last time that we hear from you. If you should have anything that you want to come to our audience and share, please do so. You have the keys to the car and you know how to get in, and I hope that this won't be the last time that we see you, even if you only visit us for a quick 5 or 10 minutes to alert my audience to something that you really believe that they need to know about. You know, the door is open to you, and I hope that you will come back and see us again. Please don't be a stranger. You're part of the family now.
Very generous of you, Jeff. I appreciate it, and I will do that. Thank you so much.
And I look forward to possibly meeting you in person, maybe in June.
Could happen.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Yes, hope so. Hope so. Thank you for being here, sir. Please have a great rest of your Sunday. And again, thank you for being here, and welcome to the program family.
Thank you. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you so much.
That's Tony. You'll see him Wednesday. You will see him Wednesday on the event on Wednesday. I will try to be on that event. I won't be speaking or saying anything like that. I don't even know if I'll be home from work at that point, but I can't even tell you about this work right now. About this. Hey, look, I'm happy to have a job. I know there's folks that don't have one. I know that everyone says it's a great labor market right now, and you can pretty much, demand your terms. That's not really true. I don't think for the most part, at least not in the, I think up to a certain level of job, I don't think that's really quite true, but we can get into that at another time. I think it was someone in the chat. I think it was Gary. Phone number is open. It's on your screen. 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189. It is the very same and only phone number. My eyes are very itchy. I must be getting some pollen here in the house. I do have a lot of windows open to try to get some fresh air in here, but I guess we're getting some pollen in here. My eyes are quite itchy. It must look very good on camera to see me stuffing my fingers into my eyes. It must look great. 267-227-9189, the one and only phone number we have ever had on our program. 267-227-9189. 267-227-9189. We are waiting to hear from, I believe, that Christopher Kowardovich is going to be ringing in. April is supposed to be ringing in. We might have a Sergeant Max sighting. Not sure about Lex. We have, it's open. It's open. It's going to be, if we can get you to 8 o'clock, we will. It's going to pretty much be a free-for-all. Coming up on the program next week, I have no idea. We currently have no guest booked for next weekend. But we do plan to be back with you pretty much. I should look at the calendar quickly. We do plan to be back with you next week. And then very quickly, the 8th is Mother's Day. And we have learned that Mother's Day is not a very good day to do a program because so many of you are visiting family, you're at dinners, things like that. So I'm guessing we won't. My guess is that we probably won't be with you then. Also, that's I will be in Rehoboth. I think I'm supposed to be in Rehoboth that weekend. Ooh, is that the weekend I'm supposed to be? Yeah, I think it is. I think I'm supposed to be in Rehoboth that weekend. Oops. So yeah, we probably won't be with you, but we will be back next week. No one is currently on the docket, but we will be back here with you next week. I said this 2 weeks ago when Tammy Wilson was with us. That I definitely feel a responsibility to you as an audience. This is not obviously I have a very big ego, and I can talk and talk and talk for hours. And I think that my positions, my policy positions, my political positions, my historical positions are accurate, and I happen to think them to be the correct ones. But I also feel a sense of duty to you. If I'm going to continue to ask you to watch and be part of the program, then I have a duty to be here. And I do apologize to you actually that the show schedule has been so choppy lately, so choppy. There's a variety of reasons for that. I have shared some of them with you, and I will obviously do so again. You can tell where I'm going. I had illnesses. We had some holidays. I was literally the one weekend in hospital for quite literally for exhaustion, the medical definition of exhaustion. I've had kidney stone issues. I've had back issues. I've had work has gotten in the way. That's why Kristen's not here tonight. She is working. We've been exhausted. There's been some holidays. As I said, Easter was in there. I think obviously Christmas and New Year were in there. Then there was Super Bowl was in there, and it's been a very choppy schedule. And I realize that, and it's going to be choppy probably again, as we expect to be with you next week, which would be May the 1st, but then we'll be out again on May 8th because of Mother's Day. Then we'll be back for, it looks like 3 or 4 weeks until Father's Day on June 19th. So I know it's been choppy, and I do apologize for that. And I'm so glad and honored that you have been able to stick with us through it. You can always find everything to keep you up to date on what's going on with the program at the home Facebook page, That Other Side of Information. They'll tell you when we're on, when we're not on, if there's been cancellations, changes, guests, updates on guests. The articles that we post there come from a variety of different places. They are, and I don't just mean a variety of places as far as media sources are concerned, although we do a variety of that, but some of them are on the environment, some are on science, a lot on astronomy, which happens to be a favorite of mine. There are animal advocacy articles and postings. There are some good feeling stories on there, but also, of course, and updates on former guests. You'll notice that there's been some fundraising and campaigning postings from former guests. So the home Facebook page is really the place to find everything, and that's the best place to keep up with us. So even if the schedule itself is choppy, you will know what's going on if you get to the home group Facebook page, That Other Side of Information. And That Other Side of Information covers almost everything that we do. It is the Facebook, it's the YouTube, it's the Instagram, it's the Patreon, it's the TikTok. And that's how you do it. So as we move a little bit into the the anniversary part of the program, and I see her on the phone. Let me say hello. There she is. Phone. Why is it phone if I can see you? Let's welcome to the program the woman, my sister from a different mister. Let me, the woman who I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for her. I wouldn't be doing it anywhere. Let's put it that way. I would not be doing it at all, or certainly not everywhere that I'm doing it now if it wasn't for her, especially the Hot 101 part. Well, all of it. The hell with it. All of it. Why should I parse my words? All of it. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. You see her on screen if you're watching and if you're listening. It, of course, is Miss April Riddick. Hi and welcome.
Hi, how are you? I'm sorry I was late. I had the program today. It went really well. So
What was happening today?
the Rising to Excellence program, we recognize our youth for not giving up in their education because not every child's an A/B student. So it's a program. It's not an organization. It's a program that was put together by me, and I have board members that have nonprofits. And the purpose of it is to make a collaboration with the city and the school, and collaboration with the teachers in the school, because there is a disconnect in our public schools. So it's to take time to reconnect with the students, take time to not judge a book by its cover, take time to be that old-fashioned teacher, take time to become a community village as it's supposed to be when it comes to educating our kids. I know it's hard, but since the virus, it has gotten rougher, more disconnect, social media.
And the effect of the pandemic on all school students
Yep,
has been absolutely profound and
hard.
deep. But as usual, sadly, as usual, our Black and brown students have been affected even more. And
Correct.
especially in districts that are not wealthy. Allentown is traditionally in a budget deficit.
Mhm.
And some of our listeners will remember when the pandemic first hit and schools were closed, most of the Allentown School District students went home with nothing.
Yeah,
They
they
didn't even
weren't
have
ready for it.
books,
Yep.
let alone the ability to do remote or online learning. They had nothing. They had nothing.
Yep. They didn't get the paperwork till like 2 weeks later to pick up pamphlets. Thank goodness for Susan Wild. I commend her. She made sure we got that money. She made sure the school district got enough money and got them out of a deficit at that time. And
And
so,
money to do remote learning.
yes, kudos to her because she busted her ass and she made it happen and stuff. So that's what the program is to recognize our youth. The good thing about it is that next year I will be putting it in the middle schools. Me and my team, the program will extend into 8th grade then. I did invite the charter high schools, but there was no response. You can't beat a dead horse. So it does not bother me if I hold it just to ASD, but there is an expansion going on because it is a program. We want to extend it into 8th grade. We want to extend it into Bethlehem, into Easton. I've already talked to people out of Philadelphia. My girlfriend is out of Georgia. I had a conversation with her because it's a program and it's just a way of saying, slow down, take a breather. Why is that kid falling asleep in school? Why is that kid acting up? A lot of problems in these schools is environment. So when you come from a hostile environment of your surroundings and you come to school, you react upon environment. If you have years and years of that, kids sometimes subconsciously don't realize that they're acting in their environment. And that's the teacher's job to recognize what's wrong. And because of the pandemic, kids came back different. But at the same time, while we were on a pandemic, kids were home taking care of themselves because parents still had to work. kids were like, I'm not taking this seriously. I'm on a laptop. Kids that were hard.
I think you cut yourself off. You did. Somebody touched the wrong button. It's hilarious when April does that because she's so good at that stuff. But yet, every time she's been on Hot 101 a long time. She's one of the founders, one of the creators, and we still all tap the wrong button occasionally. So I don't know where you went, but you tapped your button. You didn't mute yourself, but I don't see you anymore and I cannot hear you anymore, but that's okay. It's 6:58. Good time to do this wherever you are across the Facebook universe. The 100 places that the program has been shared this week, and nearly 100, somewhere in the 100 range, I would say. Thank you. Stay there. You can continue to enjoy and listen. But if you would like to interact with us, please come to our home group Facebook page, That Other Side of Information. And you will see us there. You can tap on it. It'll fill the screen. You will see the comments and talk to us there. Questions, comments, agree, disagree, fight, yell, scream, clap, applaud, whatever you might want to do. The phone line is open. 267 227-9189, 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189, and one more time for those of you sitting in the back rows, 267-227-9189. Hot101.net, our name is our web address. It is hot101.net. You can find the apps for hot101.net. Very, very simple. If you have an Apple device, go to the Apple App Store. If you have an Android device, you can go to the Google Play Store. And if you have any other type of device, you can use the TuneIn Radio app. Go to the search bar and search for hot101.net. And you can also tell Alexa to play hot101.net. We are very, very proud to be part of the hot101.net family. And of course, TCP, the Cultured Professional, a minority-owned business. And that is not a small thing. The success they have gained, the growth they have gained, is truly remarkable, and we are proud to be part of their family as well. 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189. The phone line is open for you. We are planning to be back with you next week, May the 1st, live from 5 p.m. No guest currently. I will be working on that through the week, and then we are off yet again for Father's Day. April, I think, is trying to get back into the room. I'm going to make fun of her for disconnecting herself because it is pretty funny when that happens. If she gets connected in the first place, I have a feeling. Are you having Wi-Fi problems? What the heck? You disconnected yourself. That's hilarious. That is entirely too funny. And you're muted still. And you're muted. Oh my God, we're having all kinds of Zoom fouls here. This is gonna be a Zoom. It's gonna be a red card soon. You're getting close.
I'm so sorry.
You cut yourself off, then you're muted. Then you've been doing this longer than me.
I know, it's just, you have an old computer and you don't want to get rid of it. You know what I'm saying? That's what happens. But like I was saying, we honored 5 kids, and I was blessed to get sponsorship that I was each able to give the kids $50 a piece, gift cards. Community Action Lehigh Valley gave them $25 gift cards from Wawa. The city of Allentown gave them pool passes, and they got a proclamation for Rising to Excellence. And so next year will be his 5th year. It should have been in its sixth year because of the virus was shut down for 2 years. We didn't do it. So next year will be his 5th year, and then we're gonna have it going into 8th grade. So I'm pretty excited, but it's gonna grow. I'm gonna grow it through working hard to get sponsorship And so it's no cost to the city, it's no cost to the school district. So I can continue to have it. You know,
And
because
let's be honest, that's part of what they're worried about. They don't want to take on any extra cost, and if they can award, recognize their students and not have to take on any additional financial burden, I think they're happy to do it. I'm sure they see the value of it, but especially if they don't have to add any cost.
yeah, I had a young lady came back today who was one of the first recipients, and she told her story. And at the end of her story, she said she entered a contest with her poem and it was rejected. When she entered it into Rising to Excellence, we accepted it. And she said we were the first ever award she had received. And it changed her mindset. Now she's going to college. She's going to college. She wants to become a DA, and she wants to come back and serve her community here in Allentown, Lehigh Valley. So that's what Rising to Excellence is. And like I told everybody has their own excellence. Nobody can tell you what your excellence is, but it's important to have an education. And just because you're not an honor roll student, you might be a Voltech student, you might be a trades or whatever may be the case. But don't ever let nobody take away your self-respect of excellence. You know, everybody is different on how they learn. You have kids with autism, you have kids with attention deficit, dyslexia, focus factors. It's very vital that we take the time to not recognize them, because the system itself is set up to recognize honor roll all the way up to college, valedictorian, whatever.
Mhm.
And I get it. I get it. I really do. And I'm not taking that from them, because I was in middle school and I was honor roll. And it is hard work at a young age to maintain them grades and into high school. And some kids do burn out from it. So some kids like, I don't want to work that hard. I just want to get passing grades. You know, and then they don't realize that maybe what they really want, they have to get educated at.
Don't you think that there's been what I consider to be a positive change in that? A re-recognition that some kids, they just don't want to go to college. They're not suited for it. They are happy and want to go to Votech. There's a dramatic shortage of folks who work in the trades. Try to find a carpenter or a mason or an electrician. This is good, decent, if you will, clean, honest way to make a living, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Absolutely. And I think what it was is that it always has the phases in sign of the times. 30 years ago, when I was in school, the college prep opened up over 30 years ago. And I remember when I be in, I used to make fun of them, call them techie heads or Voltech heads. But I'm looking at it now, and those that went to business prep and college prep, it was harder. It didn't teach them life skills. And I see the Voltechies to this day, and Voltechie heads, they got their own businesses and they live in large. So it's funny, it's how the narrative is pushed. And so this is where, on an educational level, we got to let them know all educational levels are important. And I'm glad that these kids are saying, I'm not college material. I'm not going to get a grant and waste my parents' money. I'm going to do what I think is best for me and how I can be successful in my community. And the narrative has changed on the new age kids. And I'm glad that they're stepping up saying, nope, I'm not doing the status quo. I know it's best for me. I know I don't want to go paying out all that money, and I don't want to do that chemistry, whatever.
And come out in debt.
Yeah. And so a lot of them are like, I don't want to do it. And there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying not to get educated. I'm just saying get the education that suits you. Don't do what everybody else is telling you to do. And like I've been tell a lot of young people, if you don't know what you want to do, then take what you love and then make a career out of that. So if you're somebody who loves to draw, they have architect, they have, commercial art and all that stuff. So this is where you had to be creative with talking with these young people and saying what they want to do. I know the young man that first year recipient, I remember him saying to me, I'm interested in taking photos. Okay, all right, get a camera. Fine. And I said to him, I'm glad he let you shadow me, but he found somebody else to shadow. And then he finally went to college, and he was in school photography. And I just seen him not too long ago, and he said, Miss April, I changed it to, because I want to get more in debt. I said, good. He says, I want to take my photography to a different level. So he changed his major again, but he's taking what he loves, and he's creating a career for himself. He's creating the education for himself to take his photography to the next level that he wanted to. So I'm happy to say that I had conversation with kids that went through the program, and even if I get just one a year, as far as I'm concerned, I did my job. And my board did their job, because I have a board of women educators too, on my board. And it's very vital that, reach as many kids as you can. And like I told them, rising to excellence is not about what anybody else considers excellence. It's up to you to make your own excellence. You know what I'm saying? So, I was happy. I was happy that I was blessed this year with the sponsorship to be able to give the young ladies the gift cards. They were shocked. They didn't know they were gonna get all that. And I have to hand it up to Mayor Turk. I really do. He gave them proclamations, and the proclamations were, how when usually they give proclamations, they're just basic proclamations. He catered, what's that
Customized
word?
them?
He
You customized them?
no,
Personalized them?
he personalized them to rise into excellence, and they were beautiful. And he read them. He read each one to the young ladies, and that was very beautiful. For the kids that didn't come, I'm going to go to the school and deliver them. But also from the board, we're going to also recognize the teachers that took the time to look at a student and nominate them, because it's also vital too. And this is a problem too in the school systems. Because of the virus, a lot of our teachers are burnt out. Is that a caller?
Robocall. No, robocall.
And so we're also going to take time to take a plan to the teachers and tell them thank you for recognizing the child's efforts for their education. And the teachers don't get that no more. So it's not just about the kids. It's also telling the teacher thank you for taking time, whether it's a school counselor, vice principal, janitor, whoever nominated that kid in the school, will take time to go to the school and tell them thank you. So it's time to start thinking like a village and a community, and also to no disrespect, kids' hard work needs to be recognized, but we have to start telling our kids good job when they're working hard, versus just giving them something just to shut them up. There's a difference.
So today we are celebrating the 3rd anniversary of the program. And as someone who was there at the very, very beginning, not just this program, but of Hot 101 period, and knowing what Hot 101 has been and hopefully will be, where does all this fit in for you? I mean, you were the one that got this started and got me on to 101, but what does it mean to get some, I guess you'd say the most gentle term, I guess, would be public affairs programming, but I get, what does it mean for a program like this to be back at hot101.net? And when are you getting back on, ma'am?
Don't start. You're going to make Lex call. Don't start.
I'm starting because darn it. What are we doing here?
No, it's very important to have talk radio. Lex always has wanted informative radio. It's nothing wrong with the amazing DJs that he has, but it's very important. If you're going to have radio, you have to have a balance. You have to have it. And there's nothing wrong with talk shows. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't want to hear about a star no more. I don't want to hear about Rihanna's pregnancy. God forbid. We have became such a I want to be like that person world, it's freaking scary that nobody lives in reality. Everybody does filters, they make up themselves, and they want to do talk because they want to be seen, not because they want to be informative. See, you wanted to do talk radio because it was your passion to talk about politics, to educate people. So you're not here because I wanted the accolades, I want to be the next man. You did it because you knew there was a need for it. And that's pretty much how Lex is. He just wanted to create Hot 101 and have informative radio out there. And hopefully it's hard to get talk shows, and it really is, because it's not as easy as people think to come up with material, to come up with guests. It's a lot of work, and you have to have
tell people that all the time, that especially folks who know me, that I'm, put me in front of a room, I'll give a speech.
right.
And it'll probably be longer than it should be. But sitting here for 4 hours, even just once a week, it's not easy. It's not. I can rattle off a bunch of stuff out of my head and probably talk for 4 hours, but then next week I better find new stuff out of my head.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's, the audience turns over. There's a rule in talk radio that the audience turns over every 7 seconds. I don't think that's true. I think it's a lot longer than that, but you can only say the same things so many times. And, it means a lot to me. It means a lot to me to be part of this because, can I be honest, April? I don't have to tell you, I don't look like the rest of 101. Let's just be blunt. I don't look like them.
That was fun.
But yet, it's the truth. But it is the truth, though. I don't. And it's not. And that's why I'm proud to be part of TCP. I don't look like everybody else at these places. And it's good. It's a good, healthy thing that, you got something decent to bring to people. And, we look past this and we get it on because it's a good thing, because it's good for folks. Randall, welcome to the program, sir. Welcome to our 3rd anniversary, my friend.
Congratulations for making it 3 years so far, Jeff.
And where were you for the first year and a half?
I did not discover you until about a year and a half.
My one loyal caller. I'm gonna beat you up because you missed the first year and a half. That's pretty smart of me. Beat up on the one guy who calls every week. That's real smart. But what do you think?
Hey,
what do you think, kiddo? 3 years we've been here.
Yep. I'm very proud of you, Jeff, and what you've accomplished.
Well, say hello to April. She's here as well. George is there in the background.
Hi, April.
How are you?
Hi, George.
So how important do you think, it sounds like a self-serving question, Randall, but how important is programming like this in our Commonwealth? I think there's a significant, profound lack of it. What do you say?
I say I agree with you 100% that most talk radio is right wing. That there's very few. In fact, that you're the only one I know, and Hot 101 that talks about progressive issues and educates people.
We are still the only talk program on 101, if I'm not mistaken. I think we are, right?
We're trying to change that.
Yeah, we're working on that, but I think at the moment we're the only one. Don't worry, Randall, you're going to have a chance to listen to April again soon. She is supposed to be restarting the morning program with Lex. I will visit when I am capable of doing so. We have another program that is supposed to be starting. We don't have a date yet. You are probably familiar with Sergeant Thomas Mack. He's been a frequent contributor to the program, guest, friend, and contributor. He is supposed to be starting his own program, which is going to, at least currently, going to air at 9 p.m. on Sundays, right after us. So I'm also really, really, it's hard to have an anniversary program, tell everyone that this is not about you, and have an anniversary program. Those things don't go together, but I'm so super proud to have folks like Sergeant Mack, who we were lucky enough to find. We connected with him. We've become friends. And now he's going to be a part of the Hot 101 family. That April's gotten the bug back after a hiatus, and she's going to return to 101. I'm very proud of these things, extremely proud of these things. And I will tell everyone a story. Before this program started, April and I had many discussions about how this program was going to go. And I said to her, you're going to sit right next to me and we're going to do it together, because we don't look alike. Because even though we're both working class, middle class, we grew up very differently. And I think that would have been a tremendous strength and a really neat thing to have. And she said, nope, you're going to do this on your own, and threw me out there. And that was the end of that. And you take that, son, you just get out there or don't get out there at all. And hey, we've been swimming, she threw us in the deep end of the pool, and we've been swimming ever since. But it'll be great to have April back on the air. It'll be great to have her and Lex do the morning show. I will contribute to it when I am able, when I can call in or when I can zoom in on off days or whatever that might be. I will, and then we're looking forward to having Sergeant Mack become part of the family as well. I think that's going to be a very powerful voice. And I'll go out on a limb and say he'll probably swear a tiny bit more than me. But I just about promised that. Anyway, sorry, Randall. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Randall, but you made me think of that little story there. But go ahead.
That's quite all right. Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to congratulate you on 3 years, even though I've only been a follower for a year and a half. Although I think I got a lot of people to sign up.
You did.
On that other side of information.
You did. The Facebook group is over 1,100. Now I will try to get you a real number. Go ahead, keep talking. I will try to find what the actual number is.
I'm going to talk to April.
Hi.
April, I graduated from Warren Wilson College outside of Ashburn, North Carolina in 1975.
Mm-hmm.
And Warren Wilson College is one of only 8 working colleges in the whole country. And what that means is all the jobs are done by students. And that could be, that could be cleaning the pots and pans in the kitchen. That could be starting to learn as you're getting your academic degree and doing your major. I was on heating and plumbing crew, and although I didn't pick it up, I have a lot of friends that were there at the time, and that's what their career became. I have a lot of friends from college that were on landscaping crew. That started their business because of what they learned. I got everybody, when I was there, everybody worked 15 hours a week besides go to school full time. I got 2 hours work credit every week, 2 of the 15, by being on our volunteer fire company. Because at that time we were still a rural college, and so we had our own volunteer fire company on campus. And I got I got beer and cigarette money all 4 years working as a volunteer, a paid volunteer, with the North Carolina Forestry Department fighting forest fires.
Very nice.
That put the bug in me. Most of my working career until I retired was in life safety or fire safety or being a fire marshal. So that's I just wanted to explain that of how you can there are, like you said, there's 8 colleges that have work programs in this country, and although it doesn't pay when I was there, that 15 hours a week paid for full room and board. Of course, today it obviously does not pay that, but I have a deceased friend that was in the print shop and the big old offset printer, and that's what he went into. And because of his college degree, he was made supervisor at the RCA plant in Asheville, making first album covers and then cassette sleeves, and finally at the end, making the covers for CD. So I'm highly respectful of anybody in trade.
Hey, let me ask you, Randall, about what April and I were talking about. We seem to have rediscovered in this country, and locally for that matter, that any kind of education is a worthwhile education, and that when someone necessarily says, and I do think there are people who use this as a in a denigrating way, but not always. Some people do, but not everybody. That some kids just are not meant for college. They're not meant to go to college and become chemists or lawyers or whatever. And that we tend to, I think we've rediscovered the dignity of dare I say, an industrial education. Again, electricians, masons, carpenters, drywall, building, actually building really good homes, and just trades, working in trades, providing real quality services to people. Would you agree that that's a good thing? I guess is the easiest way to say it. I mean, that's a good thing.
Yes.
Absolutely. And here in Delaware County, I graduated from high school in 1970. But they had, Delaware County Intermediate Unit had those tech systems. You go half a day to the high school for academics, and then you went half a day for trade. And our Delaware County Community College was founded in 1967 here. And to this day, you can get an AA on trades.
Right.
It's vital now more than ever because of the fact of what's going on in the world with the shipping, with the CDL, prime example. It was crazy because when I was in school,
I would say an alternative to the military.
Yeah.
There's a little window there where the only way you could learn a trade was the military.
Right.
And can we stop directing generations of youth into the military? There are other ways. If you want to serve this country, God bless you. You're better than me, because I sure didn't. The military wasn't right for me. It just wasn't. And if you want to be part of the U.S. military, then God bless you. You deserve all of the support that we could possibly give you. But it's not the only place to learn a trade. It's not. When we reestablish these trades and these trade schools and these apprenticeships, the unions have to start apprenticeships again. It's another avenue to gain education. Education is not just cap and gown and sash and poster on the wall. It's working with your hands. It's here's how you fix this thing. Here's how you imagine a kid coming out of a mechanical school who starts his own mechanic's garage and specializes in taking whatever car you have and putting a hybrid or electric engine in it. How wealthy would that kid become? I love my truck, but I really want an electric, but I don't want to give up my truck. And then this young kid comes out and says, I can do that for you. I mean, these are skills. These are good, honest, decent skills. And that's education too. It's not just test tubes and computers and books. Sometimes it's getting your hands dirty.
Or binary math, which is Just they had to literally, and that irks me because they literally are taking out handwriting skills, taking away a child's identity. A child needs to know his signature. They're not even required to do that. Binary math is not enough. It's not enough. And that's okay if you're going to be a techie, but to literally take out the basic math and make it binary, that's a problem. That's so you're really dumbing down our kids in the public school system, not to give them the basics. Heck, when I was in their basic finances and stuff like that. But the Voltech is very important. That's how America was built on skills and trades. And now more than ever, they need to really start pushing that because with us, with the whole China thing, with the whole shipping thing out in the thing, we don't have an infrastructure. We ship that out with the Reaganomics.
Mhm.
They are not opening up their eyes now. They never will. They never will.
Randall, let me ask you an show anniversary question. Who's been your favorite guest in the time that you've been part of the program? Do you have
I
one?
think it was Brian Sims.
Brian Sims?
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that one was pretty good.
Also, I'm leaning toward a very close friend of mine that was on your program, a member of the clergy. But yeah, Brian Sims probably the one I stands out.
I need to have those gentlemen back again, actually, because I think that program could have gone. We could still be talking. Yeah, Kevin was on. Gosh, back in February, I want to say.
Yep.
And boy, we could have. I think we could still be doing a show today. I think in fact, I would postulate that wouldn't be such a bad program either to have those two talking to each other for about an hour a week or an hour, really going over. That was a program, and April will tell you because I talked about this very early on in the show when the show was still pretty new and young, if you will. And that I wanted to get some clergy on here to talk about the fallacy, the lies, the false characterizations, the usage, the weaponization of religion on behalf of the right. And I wanted to have that program for a really long time. And we both know members of the clergy, and April knows a hell of a lot more of them than I do, and they wouldn't touch it, wouldn't come anywhere near us for it. They didn't want to get into it. And, Kevin did. And, it was one of the most respectful conversations we ever had. Because if you go back and watch that show, folks, or listen to it, there's a couple times in there where Kevin says, "No, I don't think I agree with you." But in such a gentle, respectful, understanding way, both. You agree with me, Randall? You thought the program went that way? It was even in a couple of things that we didn't agree on. It was a respectful disagreement.
Well, Kevin's a very respectful person, and that's one of the reasons why he's one of my closest friends from both of us attending, graduating from Warren Wilson College. And it happened so quick finally. I have a couple other friends that went to seminary after their undergraduate, and I just it wasn't time to get you and them together, on that program. So if you do it again and give me a week's heads
Well,
up.
we could we could do it with new members too, but I just feel like that show could still be going. I mean, I'm not even sure that we got to everything. But yeah, that's that one. How about that, April? I talked to you really early on about having that one.
Part 2 and part 3 then.
Yeah, right. God, well, I have no problem with that. I mean, it's we saw it again. We saw it again this week with this, the attacks on the January 6th committee, Marjorie Taylor Greene in court talking about how, it's God's will to have revolution in a country. I mean, none of that is
and
even remotely.
that's true.
It's just,
It's pretty bad. Like, it's like, I hate to say it. I know everybody says it's not politics, but I swear they should some sort of make a law not allowing them to use God to their favor of their own bidding, because it is
in
wrong.
fact, let me get into this. You guys, all of you in the audience may have seen this. Oh goodness, why am I blanking on it now? There are really, there's a lot of them. There's pockets of them that I don't know about. But let me say to you that there are 3 that I am very highly aware of. Full-blown, all-out, full-on fascist experiments happening in this country. Texas, Florida, and I'm living in one. Florida is, I really do think it's Florida, is talking about some of these. They want to bring prayer back into schools,
There's nothing wrong
which
with
is
that.
blatantly unconstitutional under the Establishment Clause of the Constitution, which means the Establishment Clause is arguably badly named, because the Establishment Clause actually argues against the establishment of a quote unquote state religion. And if you put Christian prayer back in the schools, and that's what we're talking about, not Muslim prayer, not Jewish prayer, not Sikhs, not Hindu, not Shintoism, not fill in the blank, only Christians.
And that's
That then becomes the establishment of a state religion, which is blatantly unconstitutional. And there are, even when this program started, Greg Abbott was still the governor of Texas. I think DeSantis had just been elected or he might have been elected in 2020 in Florida. But we have to realize that everything that I may think that I've accomplished with this program, or would like to think that I've accomplished with this program, folks, and wherever you are in the world, because I know there are people listening all over the globe,
and they getting
in
pissed.
your neck of the woods, in Australia, about the conservative parties in Australia, Viktor Orban in Hungary. Poland was on a fast track to fascism before the Russian war. They have now taken a look in the mirror and realized we're way better off with that lot than that lot. There are fully fascist experiments happening right in our own country. And if we don't wake up, and that means, it goes back to something that Tony was saying, if we don't all wake up, okay, Republicans, you and I don't agree on tax policy and probably never will, but can we at least agree that the American experiment deserves to continue?
Right.
If we can at least agree on that, because Ron DeSantis, Greg Abbott, Mark Meadows, Donald Trump, Madison Cawthorn, Louis Gohmert, Matt Gaetz, Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, Mike Lee, Rand Paul, and I could keep Mitch McConnell, and I could keep going and going and going and going. They don't just disagree with Democrats on tax policy or education policy or healthcare policy. They don't think that the constitutional government set up by the founders should continue. It is that dire. It is that basic. They don't think that this American experiment, that this Constitution should continue. That's what we're talking about here. That's it. It's not, sounds a little strange, but it's not any more complicated than that. And why do they want to end democracy? So that the richest people in this country can get even richer. And because they think that when they get out of office, they'll get a piece of it. That's it. It's that simple. Democracy's in the way of wealth. So instead of address the wealth, it's get rid of democracy. My goodness, think about that.
You're absolutely correct. And you know what's crazy, Jeff? I don't think people realized it. When Biden first took office, they had several press releases. And I don't think they realized what Trump was doing. And what makes me angry is that not all Republicans are bad, but what makes me angry is that there's different types of Republicans now. There are Trump Republicans and they're Republicans.
Yeah.
And so everybody has lost.
I tend to refer to them as fascists.
Right, so everybody has lost their way because they're trying to follow this idiotic ideal of him. He was a businessman. It was about business, and mind you, he's a very bad businessman. The only good thing that he did was show America I can be an asinine, and I can be whatever I want to be now, and I can be rude and nasty, and guess what? I can because I got money. And then a lot of people who are not educated or don't understand about politics thought it was funny and voted for him because, oh, he's entertaining, but they don't realize that they're giving an idiot power. But what's sad about it is when you put an idiot in charge that doesn't understand checks
elect a clown, expect a circus.
Right. Don't understand checks and balances, don't understand government. It's
no,
different.
that's it. See, but that's it. They do understand checks and balances. They do understand government. They don't care.
Right, but
they don't care. Look at how many constitutional norms, how many checks and balances, how many just laws were ignored during the Trump regime, and nothing has happened. See, nothing's happened. And then that gets into the whole area of the many different layers of criminal justice system that we have in this country. Nothing's happened to him. He broke the law. He broke the Constitution, but nothing has happened to him.
And that would piss
me off. Let me go ahead. Anything else you want to go, Randall, before I clear the line?
Yeah, I agree they're fascist. And that
it's an F word we can't be afraid to use.
Goes back to Mussolini.
Yeah, he wishes he was Mussolini. Yeah, he wishes he was that charismatic.
Yeah, but that's where industry joined the government to be fascist, and that's why in Webster's dictionary that explains that.
He created the term. He created the fascist movement. Mussolini.
Yes.
He dissolved the Italian parliament, took the largest business owner, wealthiest people in each of the former parliamentary constituencies and made them parliament. The merger of corporate and state interests. All right, sir. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this program for half of its life. And I hope that you better stay. You're locked in now. I know where you are.
Thank you for joining in.
Thanks for being part of the program, Randall. And listen, Randall, keep your ears open. Hot 101. You're going to have a lot more Hot 101 time coming up soon.
Cool. Very cool. All right, folks. Good night. God bless.
Have a good week. You stay healthy.
Thank you. You too.
When are you going to start, April?
I'm going back on the subject we were talking about real quick.
You are going to tell me when you're going back on the air is what you're going to do before you try to skate out of this subject. You're talking to me from what is supposed to be, or what you told me was a rebuilt studio. So when are you getting back on? When are you and Lex going to get started again?
No, I don't. I already have the tools to do it. I just need you're gonna talk him up. Don't do that. Soon.
He's not listening.
Soon.
He's
Trust
not
me.
listening. If he was, he'd have buzzed me or something by now. Or he'd have called in or something. But when are you getting started again? And folks, what we're talking about is April and DJ Lex used to do a morning show every single morning. And Lex has really had a bee in his bonnet, so to speak, about restarting that morning show with April. And he has been bugging her, and I have been bugging her, and George has been bugging her. And and it's time to get go. And you keep saying, yeah, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. Just another couple weeks. I'll be I just got to do this one other program and then I'll be good. When are you going to get started with Lex? When is the morning show going to start? And when do I get the guest on it?
It will be summertime. It will be.
Okay, good.
It has to be in the summer where I can go down to Florida and we got to do what we got to do. And make sure everything's we're on the same level with everything, with getting stuff going, getting in guests, other co-hosts, because the morning show we did before, it was like a group of us. So we did reach out to people and they didn't respond because, like I said, internet radio is a little bit different. And then we do Facebook Live. So I'm old school. I need to make sure that you listen to me. I don't want to be watched. I don't want to be watched. I want to sit in front of my computer, look at a hot mess and I can talk and leave to imagination. And I know with the new world, they want to watch you, but the good thing about it is because we're on so many platforms. So it's a matter of getting that together and a matter of getting the right kind of guests and group together. And when you work, this is a very unorthodox world. It's different from when we were on it, that everybody was either third shift job and they would come home and hop on the radio, or now everybody's working all kind of hours. So it's kind of hard to find people that can tune in, you know what I'm saying? And we want to do it live. The pre-recorded is not as fun.
No, it's not.
So that's where
that's why I do this like this. It's irrational. It is, I'm admitting it. It's irrational and it's not fair, probably. And I should be a little more thick-skinned. But when someone says to me in passing, I listened to your podcast. Oh my God, it makes my spine raise up. I hate that word. Yes, the show lives on in a podcast form, I guess you could say, although we do not post on iTunes or any of that. We don't do any of that. George and I did look into it. We always thought you could just sort of do that. You actually have to pay for it. It's news to me. As soon as we found out how much we had to pay for it, we didn't do it. But oh God, do I prickle at the gets my hackles up when somebody says I listen to your podcast.
I know.
Yeah. We are a live program. You can't, Randall, Judy, Patricia, the people who have called us in the past cannot call a podcast.
Yeah,
we are live. If I sneeze, if I get a bloody nose, if I get sick, if I start giggling hysterically, something stupid and I can't gather myself, or if I spill water, whatever is going to happen live. This is a live interactive radio program. We want phone calls. We want comments. We want all of it. So when you talk about doing the show live every single morning, you have to. God knows what's going to happen. Some big breaking piece of news could happen right while you're in the middle of it, and you have something immediately there to talk about. I mean, you record the show and put it out. Even sometimes 8, 10, 12, 24 hours later, God knows what the hell has happened since then. You're talking about subject A. Well, we found out we found out 25 more facts about what you were talking about and you didn't know it. And then you're listening to it a day later and you're like, what the hell are these people talking about? Didn't they hear that this and this and this and this added to it? Live is everything. Radio is not dead. It is not dead, and it needs to be live. There are over 1,500 right-wing, exclusively right-wing talk radio stations in this country. And there are 500 Spanish language right-wing
Wow.
radio stations.
Wow.
When you think about the way that the Hispanic vote went for Republicans, they gained 9 percentage points nationally. That's why.
Yeah, I believe it.
And they gained 6 points in the African American community because they're starting to listen to it. You now have some black right-wing hosts. We have a right-wing host right here. We have a Spanish right-wing host right in our own backyard.
Don't you start. Don't you start. Don't you start.
We have a racist right-wing host right in our own backyard. And he's got a chain of stations. And he's changing the Latino vote. I'm not perfect. I'm not smarter than anybody. I'm not better than anybody. But if we don't continue to do these things, then there's nothing left.
That's true.
Lincoln said a house divided unto itself cannot stand. Well, we won't be all that divided if we never hear both sides. You can't be divided when everybody thinks uniformly. This is super important what we do here. I am not important. I'm not smarter or better than anybody. But if we don't do more of this, and it's what makes me so frustrated when elected officials won't come here and talk. You got nowhere else to go. Get the word out here. Where else are you going? We got two right-wing flame-throwing stations in the Lehigh Valley here. Our big AM station, 790, and we have a Hispanic language one. And it's all right-wing. So to all the legislators, even here in my own backyard, and you're afraid to come here?
Yeah.
Where the hell else do you think you're going? Because that lot thinks you should be dead because you're a Democrat.
Right.
And Democrats are just here to be shot. We're just cannon fodder. We're targets. And you won't come here and talk to me?
Yeah.
You've got to be kidding me. The other side wants you, they don't just want to not hear you, they want to kill you in some circumstances. I'm gobsmacked by it. It makes me, I don't understand it. I can't wait for you guys to get going and to get started again. Patricia says in the comments, I'll listen, April, just put the word out. Let us know when. So it's time. You got to get going. Don't make me call Lex. I'll do it right now on the air.
No, I just wanted to get back on the prayer thing. You're absolutely correct about that. Prayer, I don't have a problem with prayer long as they can pray any way they want. You know what I'm saying? I think a child needs that peace of mind in the morning, or even a moment of silence. You know, and they shouldn't be told that if they're not Christian, they have to pray the Christian way, because that's not right. We got too much of a diversity in America to make it just a one type of prayer. And as for everything that's going on, God help us. God help us. Like I said, we're the Democrat, Republican, Independent. You can pick whatever party you want. I don't have a problem with that. But when you have those that are there that are maliciously trying to cripple success and publicly doing it, like with the judge, what was the purpose of that show? What was the purpose of what they did to that judge? asking questions
I don't.
she
Look,
couldn't answer. Like, and this is the thing. When you're black, brown, polka dot, or even or as they call you, a woke white person, seeing that, it pissed you off. It pissed you off because it was if that wasn't a form of prejudice and racism that they did publicly, and this is where we're at. Like, why are you giving this woman, making fun of her hair, not telling her she's not qualified? Like, did you even
Justice Brown.
Yeah, did you even look at the judges that Trump
Justice
appointed?
Jackson. I'm sorry, Ketanji Brown Jackson. Justice Jackson.
This is where we're at, and it's freaking scary. It's freaking scary that they can publicly.
Well, again, this comes all the way, but this comes back. I just think at the end of the day, this all comes back to money, because Justice Brown Jackson, has shown in her history that she is not an automatic vote for corporations. She's not an automatic vote for big money. These other, it still has not been fully investigated or explained. Justice Kavanaugh, he's justice now. Brett Kavanaugh had hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, like $500,000 in debt. Right before he started his Senate hearings for confirmation, all that debt was gone. It was just gone. It was paid in one swoop, and nobody knows where the money came from. I mean, she's not bought and paid for. My goodness, she had the unmitigated gall to be a public defender. She provided legal counsel to poor black and brown people and to people accused of crime. Our Constitution says that.
Yeah.
And they beat her up for it. This all comes down to money. Justices Barrett, Kavanaugh, Alito, Gorsuch are all 100% in the pockets of the corporations.
Yes, they are.
They have been financed by them. They have been publicized by them. They are in the pockets of corporations. We used to think that Chief Justice Roberts was the one who was way out on the right. Dear God, he looks like Eisenhower compared to some of these people. He looks like Thurgood Marshall compared to some of these people. It's about money. When is enough enough?
Yeah.
When two people have as much money as 150 million, when is enough enough?
I agree.
It's time for windfall profits tax. It's time for a wealth tax. It's time for CEOs to stop being paid in stock and to take a check just like the rest of us. And for that top tax rate to go back up to 74%. Enough is enough is enough is enough. It's enough now. Let me just tell you a story before we go. It doesn't appear that we're going to be getting anybody. We'll go to 8 o'clock, but I thought Sergeant Mack was going to call in, and I thought Christopher was calling in, but they must have gotten sidetracked. 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189. I want to tell you a quick story before we say goodnight. I was working yesterday. Friday, I worked from 7:30 in the morning until 3 in the morning. Yesterday, I got called in to work again. And this morning, I got called in to work again. My back is now so damaged that I cannot walk straight. And I don't know if I've pinched a nerve or what's happening, but it runs down my right leg so much that I really can't put weight on it. So this family saw me struggling as I was trying to take equipment out of their house. They asked me what was wrong, and I told them. And this is a deeply Republican family. You can just tell. There's, Republican campaign signs all up and down the street. They didn't have any particularly right in front of their house, but the entire street was loaded with them. And you could just tell it was you could tell. And maybe that's a generalization that I shouldn't be making, but I I got the sense that this particular family was a diehard Republican voting family. And so they asked me, you know, well, you look like you have a limp there. You're really struggling lifting things. You're all out of breath. And I told them, I had a variety of different health issues. And so one of them said, well, why are you still working? And I said, because this is America. Because if you don't work, if you're not generating wealth for someone else, you're garbage. You're thrown away. You're disposable. Working is the only way I can see a doctor. It's the only way I can keep a roof over my head. It's the only way I can eat. We are not the advanced Western democracy that we think we are.
No, we're not.
We're not Canada. We're not Scandinavia. We're not the UK. We're not France. We're not Germany. We're not Portugal. We're not the advanced Western democracy that we think we are. And so when I said to them, because this is America, and because if I'm not working, I can't do any of the things I just listed, and you're considered a throwaway human being. And they said, you're damn right about that.
Whoa.
So why can't we agree then?
Wow.
So if what would appear to me to be a diehard Republican voting family can agree with me on that, how do we continue to not be able to connect with Republicans throughout my municipality, April's municipality, the county, the Commonwealth, in this country? Somewhere deep down, somewhere in the back of their minds, Republicans know there's something wrong.
They do.
They know there's something wrong. They know that they are part of that throwaway society. They think they're above it because they don't want to see black and brown people do it. But they know somewhere in their heads that they're part of that throwaway society. They are not far away from being disposable. And I think you all know it too. So when you have that chat with crazy Uncle Larry at Thanksgiving, he knows it somewhere in their head. He knows it, that if he doesn't work, he's basically useless to this wealth and greed society. I want to leave you with that thought and something to think about for the following week. We will return next week. I have no guest scheduled so far, but I will be working on that all week. But we will be back here in 1 week. May 1st, May Day. Maybe I should get unions. I should do a union show. May Day. I'll probably get accused of being a communist. Since May Day is a workers' holiday. Oh, no, God, not workers. We can't have that. But I should think about that, actually. That's not a bad idea. But it just came into my head. Hey, every now and then there's a spark that happens up there. If you see smoke, that's where it's coming from. But that's it for us for this week. I want to thank April for being here. I want to thank Tony and JP for being here. I want to thank my dear friend George for being part of this program. He's the first one after April to jump and say, I want to be part of this. Whatever it is that you're doing, I want to be part of it. And he's been here from the beginning. And I'm beyond in debt to him. I am beyond grateful to him. I am beyond unworthy of his time and his dedication and his friendship. I'm not up to it. I'm not worthy of it, but I've been blessed with it. And I'm very, very lucky to have it. For DJ Lex and DJ Earl at hot101.net, for the entire team at TCP, for Kristen, for April, for George, thank you all for being here. We will return next week. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you next week.
Be blessed, everyone.